St. Lucie Public Schools is the home to exemplary educators whose passion and commitment to the students they serve knows no bounds. Each year, the St. Lucie Education Foundation, along with St. Lucie Public Schools, has the privilege of recognizing teachers selected to represent their individual schools as Teachers of the Year.
Throughout the history of the world, great teachers have inspired, comforted, persuaded, and motivated. All of us can recall a certain teacher, a very special someone who inspired us to learn. Further, all of us have sat in the classroom of many great teachers. Regardless of their fields of study, they were all visionaries who led by example and whose actions transformed lives. Every day, we, along with hundreds of millions of parents, entrust our children to teachers. They instruct them, discipline them, guide them, coach them, and inspire them to fulfill their greatest potential. They teach social skills as well as social studies, self-esteem as well as spelling, citizenship as well as science, tolerance as well as typing, and enthusiasm for learning as well as content mastery. They are counselors, mentors, friends, surrogate parents, and disciplinarians, as well as masters of their subject matter. This program presents some extraordinary men and women whose timeless wisdom echoes the integrity, strength, character, and passion of educators all across our district and our nation. This program is a tribute to and for teachers and celebrate the special and often heroic role they play in their students' lives. This program is in our small way an opportunity to say thank you to those who educate, encourage, empower, and inspire the students of the world. And with that, at this time, we're welcoming to our show from Village Green Elementary, the fantastic Miss Terry Dio, who is the Teacher of the Year. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
Joining her is the wonderful Miss Yacola Baxter, who's sitting in the chair as the principal at Village Green Elementary. Miss Baxter, it's a pleasure to have you.
Same here. Pleasure to be here.
Now, Ms. Dio, just in case there may be some of our viewers that don't know about you, we want to give our viewers a deeper look into the fantastic field of teachers that we have working here in St. Lucie County. So if you would, please share just a little bit about your background. Make sure you include the school that you matriculated at. Make sure you include for us what you're teaching, the subjects you're teaching, as well as the grade or grades that you may be working with.
Okay, I'm from New York, so I went to the State University of New York at Plattsburgh.
Another SUNY, and I think, yeah, and this may be the fourth SUNY school that's represented.
All right, fourth is the best up here.
Okay.
Okay, I went there for 5 years. My first 4 years, I got my bachelor's in childhood education with a math concentration. And then my last year, I did my master's in under a year, and I got that in literacy education. Okay. And here in Florida, I am certified K through 12. And currently, I teach 5th grade reading, writing, and social studies.
Great, great, great. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to jump in with my first question that kind of gets you to almost sum it up. What's your favorite part of teaching?
Every day I come into the classroom, it's something different. You could have lesson plans done for weeks, and you come in, and it can be totally thrown off by a question asked, or this may not be working. So it's just, you know, the spontaneity and the flexibility of teaching that, you know, I'm ready to have that every single day.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you discover?
I think I've always known. As a young child, my sisters, and fighting or not, we used to play school all the time. And my stuffed animals, I always taught them. So at a young age, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher.
Would you think or say that there was someone who inspired you to become a teacher? And if so, who? I
would say probably not. I had a cousin or two that taught, but for me, I just enjoyed like the actual, you know, teaching someone something new.
Ms. Baxter, jump in there with us, please, and share with our viewers the fantastic background for the wonderful Miss Yacola Baxter, where you went to school and how you came to be the wonderful principal at Village Green Elementary.
Okay. Well, I started in Miami-Dade County, a product of the school system there. I graduated college from Florida Memorial College, also in Miami, and was recruited to come to St. Lucie County. I have had the opportunity to work at the elementary and the high school, and now I'm back in elementary at Village Green. So this is my first year having the opportunity to work with the staff at Village Green and also Terry. And so I'm excited about this year, and I'm excited to be here with her, and she is an exemplary representation of the teachers that we have in St. Lucie County.
Thank you, thank you. So when you visit Ms. Dio's class, what is it that you see? What is it that you hear?
You know, there are times that you walk into a classroom and you might catch a teacher off guard, or they may be transitioning, or whatever the case may be. I have to say that there has never, and I do mean never, been a time that I have walked into her room and they were not on task with instruction. And when I say on task, I don't mean just an activity. I mean clearly working on the standard. So that speaks volumes.
So, back over to you, Ms. Dio.
Yes, sir.
The students that you're working with come into this world basically with technology in their hand.
Yeah.
We all understand that they're very savvy. They probably could teach us a thing or two. But how do you purposefully use technology for instruction and for learning?
Recently, I started doing a lot of video clips for my students, and engagement's a huge part of that with the technology piece. If I'm using technology, the kids are most likely to be engaged. It's something that they relate to. So during my instruction, I'm always using a video clip or some sort of visual using technology to infuse in my whole group. As far as centers or when they're working independently, I try to bring in a rotation of my computers. I have 5, so I use them the best to my advantage, but I try to have them working on activities on the computer. With iReady right now is our program we're working with.
You mentioned the word engagement, and in our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement.
I'm all about that.
So when we also know that master teachers purposefully plan engagement for their lessons. How do you do that?
One of the biggest things that I plan for, and especially writing, it's kind of hard to get a 5th grader to sit down and say, okay, let's read these 2 articles and write your opinion in 5 paragraphs about how you feel. And you can't, really say that to 5th graders very well. But you can choose the topics in which you teach with. So I recently did a topic on social media, the pros and cons of social media, and they had to state their opinion on how they felt. And so the biggest piece of that, so many students who even weren't the best writers were engaged in what they were doing. They could connect to whatever it is was in their hands. Seeing the words like Facebook and Twitter, they knew what was going on in the article, and they were able to perform at a higher level. Is
there something new and or exciting that you're working on this year?
Recently I started doing DBQs in my classroom. I started that last quarter, and I've been trained a few times on it. I'd like to do more with it, but as far as the critical thinking aspect of it, I'm doing social studies through the DBQ process and analyzing documents, and that's something new that my students have been introduced to.
Would you basically briefly share with our viewing audience what DBQs are?
DBQs are document-based questions, and they're compiled 4 to 5 articles. Could be pictures or visuals or letters, could be memoirs of some sort, different accounts. Students view them, and they have to analyze them critically in order to formulate an answer to a question. We recently did a Valley Forge question, and all the documents were about either staying in the war or quitting, and they had to take their standpoint on that based on the articles and formulate their writing through that.
Mrs. Baxter, we led in with Ms. Dio by asking her about something that she's excitedly involved in this year. But we also know that the Teacher of the Year is heavily involved with the total operation of our schools each and every day. What other activities would we see her involved in at Village Green?
Well, one of the things that Ms. Dio is heavily involved in is our positive behavior support team. She's a intricate part of the team, and so in terms of those meetings and planning and coming up with new ideals and incentives for students, in addition to that, she is an important team member as it relates to looking at our school data and how do we get that information to the rest of our staff. She's participated in actually presenting to her colleagues in terms of here's how it looks in my classroom, here's what works for me, and she's presented that school-wide. And so she has her hands in a couple of different things at the school that directly tie into not just instruction, but just the day-to-day operation of for our students.
Please describe her for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why.
Well, the first thing you'll figure out about Ms. Dio when you meet her, she has this sense of humor that I cannot even describe. sometimes did she just say that? And she's a very, I would say she's hilarious. And so that's something that strikes me about her. She doesn't take herself seriously at all. And I mean that in a positive way, because sometimes you can be too serious about yourself. And so that's one thing I would say about her. In terms of her being a teacher, I think that she's extremely thorough about what she does. She takes her job extremely serious. And then I would say that she's a thinker. Anything that we present to her, any training that she goes to, she's taking it a step further. It's not just what I learned just at this moment, but how can I further what I've learned? How can I implement and make things better for the students that are sitting in my classroom?
Ms. Dio, what impact do you see yourself having on your students' ability to be career and or college ready?
I think that as a teacher, my responsibility isn't just the standards and the curriculum. It's far much more than that. It's more about teaching the students life skills, like simple things like organization or having a good work ethic and caring about what you do. And the biggest thing would be to have my students think critically, and all of those things apply to their lives now and then in the future, whether it's college or the career they're going to.
Every school uses the Teacher of the Year as an ambassador, as a spokesperson about education, as a spokesperson about the school, what's good, what's right, what's perfect. And oftentimes you're called upon to speak to a parent. What would you say to a parent who wants to ensure that their child remains successful?
I think the biggest thing with me for parents is not telling the parent, okay, here's what they're doing really well with, is also saying, here's what he can work on or she can work on, and showing them that process and how to do that. I can tell a parent, okay, this child needs to work on their writing for opinion writing. The parents have no idea what I mean. So I sit down with them and I show them how the child can be successful, whether they need a lot of work or just a little bit of fine tuning. And I think it's important to show our parents how to help their child become successful.
In addition to that, we often ask you to speak with new teachers. What advice would you offer to them?
I think that not everything needs to be done all at once. My biggest thing as a first-year teacher was I had a list that never ended. And I would get frustrated and stay at work till 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, this is not really happening. So it's just taking it in chunks and, okay, if it does not get done tomorrow or today, it will get done tomorrow, and just really pacing yourself through that.
Let's change our focus just a little bit, because we've done a lot of speaking about the work that you do. But I want to have you focus on talking just a little bit about you. And start off by answering this question: why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I think I can make a difference. And like we talked about previously, not only in the class and they're performing well on tests, but also in the future that they'll look back and, oh, Miss Dio taught me how to do this and beyond the actual classroom, and they're applying, further. I think I can make a difference, and kids have come back to me, and, it's really empowering to see that.
Ms. Baxter, what makes Ms. Dio the perfect candidate for this honor?
One of the things that I say to many when I meet with parents and they have concerns or kudos is I'm a parent first, and the administrator side of me comes afterwards. And so one of the greatest measures of a teacher is, would I be comfortable with my own child sitting in that room? And I would have to say I would be requesting her as my own child's teacher. And for those who know me, that speaks volumes. I think that every day is about kids for her, and I know a lot of times we say that and we put those slogans out, but I can truly say that when children walk into her room, it is all about them when they walk in.
So, Mrs. Dio, I'm sorry, when we reflect back, I want you to think about, when will you know that you are a success?
That I'm successful as a teacher? I think that when a child is able to do something you wouldn't be able to do before, that they can do now. Whether it's a small feat or it's huge, but just showing that growth, that, having that mindset saying, I can do it, and just changing how they think about something and taking those challenges and being able to tackle those to move forward.
So when you think about all of that, what do you know for sure?
As far as?
As far as education, as far as work, as far as the work that you do each and every day, what is it that you know for sure?
I know that I'm making a difference in their lives. Every single day, it's, even if I might scold a child, but at the end of the day, bye, Miss Dio, I love you, just like little things that every single day I know I'm making a positive impact on their lives.
Mrs. Baxter, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about the fantastic Ms. Dio?
Just that when we're talking about Teacher of the Year, and I know that every school has an honoree and well-deserving honoree, but I can only speak for Village Green and Mrs. Dio, and she is truly deserving of this honor. As I said earlier, you know, just being new to Village Green, and you kind of go in and make your observations, and that's one of the observations that I made fairly quickly, was that this woman she's the real deal. And I've been completely impressed with the things that she's doing every day for the children of Village Green. So,
because you know for sure that you're making a difference, and as Ms. Baxter said, that you're the real deal, finish this phrase for me. I believe
that I am a good teacher, and that, you know, some days I might say, okay, what am I doing? But, you know, I have to like bring myself back, and I know that I know what I'm doing, and, you know, the frustration, and sometimes you might teach a lesson and it might go terribly wrong, but I know that I believe that I am a good teacher.
Thank you for that belief in yourself. And let me leave you with these words when I tell you that children are like wet cement. Whatever falls on them makes an impression. Thank you for the impression that you leave on them each and every day that they come into your classroom. Ms. Baxter, thank you for joining us on our Teacher of the Year celebration show. And congratulations, Ms. Terry Dio, on your selection as a Teacher of the Year for Village Green Elementary School.
Thank you.
Will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
At this time, we're welcoming from Weatherby Elementary the fantastic, the wonderful Miss Melissa Smith, who is the Teacher of the Year for Weatherby. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Joining us also is the wonderful Mr. Michael Hisman, who's the fantastic principal at Weatherby. Mr. Hisman, welcome.
Always my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, this is our opportunity to introduce some of the finest teachers in the world to the viewers of St. Lucie County. This is an opportunity for us also to celebrate and congratulate those persons that have been selected as the Teacher of the Year. So would you please introduce yourself to our viewers, tell us what school you attended, as well as what you're teaching, the subjects you're teaching, your major, just that kind of brief bio information.
All right, I'm Melissa Smith. I graduated from Brigham Young University, Idaho, where it's very cold, and most of the year.
And you're happy to be here, then.
I am extremely happy to be here. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Early Childhood Special Education, and I teach kindergarten at Weatherby Elementary.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to jump right in, and we're just going to roll right along.
Perfect.
My first question to you is, what is the favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is the students and seeing their faces every morning and seeing them when they finally understand something and that light bulb that just clicks on. My favorite part is when they bring me, somebody today just brought me an envelope and it had decorations on it, and in the envelope they put a dried up weed and 4 pennies. And I love that. I love that they think about school and doing things outside of school.
So tell me this, have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you make that discovery? I
didn't. I used to want to be a flying pony. That was when I was way younger, not recently. But
okay, you grew up.
Yeah. In college, I went to school originally to be an event planner, and after my sophomore year of college, I attended a camp called Camp Big Silver in Pinckney, Michigan, and we had children from the Boys and Girls Club of Toledo come to Michigan on a bus to this camp and just explore and learn, and that's really when I decided to become a teacher, and seeing these inner city kids, and they are, I mean, Toledo, if you don't know, can be as bad as Detroit. So these kids who have grown up on basically a concrete jungle, I mean, they called the lake the pool. You know, when are we going to the pool? You know, and just to see them and how they learned and how they love to learn, I realized that teaching was my calling. And after that, that summer at camp, I transferred schools and decided to become a teacher.
After answering your call and making that decision, did you ever reflect back on a person that, or persons that might have been an inspiration for that?
Absolutely. My high school English teacher, his name is Mr. Cook. He's the principal at our high school now. It's a small town, graduated with 89 people.
Wow.
But he was just a great example of what every teacher should be. He was always excited to be there, and you could tell he had a love for teaching. He demanded perfection, and obviously as a teenager in high school, I was frustrating. But he made us excited to learn about Shakespeare and the Fountainhead, which is like the biggest, most boring book that you could read, but he made it interesting.
Great, great. Mr. Hitzman, just in case there's someone that does not know you, briefly tell us about your background as well.
All right. Well, obviously, I've been a principal now for 32 and a half years. So, well, not principal, but in the educational system for 32 and a half years. Close to that in education. And, of course, I've been a principal now at Weatherby for 9 years, and excited to be there, coming from a background of being a principal again for approximately about the last 25 years, an AP principal, and then a teacher prior to that.
So, when you visit Smith's classroom, tell us, what is it that you see and hear?
I think obviously the one thing that I always think about when I walk into her classroom is that the children are always actively engaged and they're enjoying it. You know, I think anytime we talk about education, the best way to get any child to learn is to really make them enjoy learning. And Melissa has a great way of just doing that with children. You know, she's always happy and smiling and very positive with the children. And that, of course, correlates to a lot of things. Obviously, kids wanting to learn, and of course, when they want to learn, their instruction is so much better. And of course, their gains and what they're showing in their educational growth is much, much better. And she obviously shows that all the time.
Ms. Smith, Mr. Hitzman used the word engagement, so I must ask the next question. Our framework for quality instruction talks about engagement over in DQ5. How do you purposefully plan for engagement with instruction?
I think I do a really good job of using humor in my classroom. And I mean, if I were to become a comedian, I think I might only be funny to 5-year-olds. But I really like to make students laugh, and I like to be silly, and I like, you know, even simple things like we're learning addition now, so writing a number sentence and putting the plus sign first is the funniest thing to a 5-year-old. And, you know, no, Miss Smith, that's not how you do it. And so they get excited because they know how to do it, and I'm pretending like I don't. So for me, engagement is I guess hard to plan for because it's something that I feel like I just do, and it's something that you just kind of, for me, it's like I said, with humor. We also, this summer, we're able to learn about something called Kagan. We have Kagan strategies, and it's cooperative learning, and I love and have totally jumped on that wagon because it's amazing, because the whole idea is that you ask a question and teacher A's classroom, one student raises their hand and answers it. Well, with Kagan, you're able to engage all students because you have them talking to each other and taking turns listening. And even if they're not talking, they're actively listening to the other person and saying, are they right? Are they wrong? And there's so many different strategies with Kagan that use engagement, and I like that.
With your kindergarten students, we can all admit that they were born into this world with some form of technology in their hand. But how do you purposefully plan and use technology for instruction?
We at our school and in the district, as we know, have started using iReady, and I'm able to use that daily in centers. The students are able to use that, but I also can pull up lessons from iReady on the screen and show them things that maybe they're not quite understanding. Or we did it recently with positional words, and it's a fish and a crab, and the fish goes between and behind and under. And as a whole group, we were able to do that and using that sort of technology. The other technology that I personally love is our Elmos that we have, and I know that's a pretty simple technology, but just to be able to have that, I've been at schools where we didn't have that, just to show different manipulatives and worksheets, or even how to write, you know, not just on the whiteboard, because for a 5-year-old who's never written before, when you write it on the whiteboard, that looks completely different than on their paper with the 3 lines. So to be able to have that paper underneath the Elmo. I love having that technology.
Is there something new or exciting that you're involved with this year?
I was able to participate in the Lights On After School event. I didn't help with the planning of it, but I asked Kimberly if I could have my own booth there. I give pitching lessons and work with youth in different aspects, girls particularly softball pitching. So with that, so I was able to participate in that and just see how great that was, and I'm really excited to see, you know, that take off in the future.
So in the classroom as well as out of the classroom, you're motivating and teaching students?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Mr. Hitzman, we know that the Teacher of the Year is heavily involved in the total operation of our schools. What other activities would we find Ms. Smith involved with at Weatherby?
Well, I think one of the big things is, of course, she's always been involved with our Kids at Hope philosophy. I think when we talk about Kids at Hope, you know, as a district and as a school, I take a lot of pride in it in our school, and obviously we're very fortunate to have people such as Melissa that always are involved with that. So I would say Kids at Hope is really one of the big things. She served on the Literacy Council before. She served on quite a few different committees. But I think the one thing I always find about Melissa is that she is willing to jump in. You know, if I say, hey, we need to look at getting someone to help donate some funds where we can take care of the children. You know, we talk about the Million Father March in the past, and she is the first one that says, hey, I can coordinate getting some donuts for that activity. And so she's always that one person I can kind of count on in those committee meetings and things to really say, hey, can I get involved? Can I participate?
That person that volunteers.
Yeah, that person that steps right up and is willing to get the things done that we know is going to be real beneficial for our kids and our school as a whole.
So describe her using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
All right, I think the first one is probably passionate. And sometimes I tease her with some of the passionate, I say, calm down, because she is a very passionate person, as you can see just from having conversations with her. And I think the passionate part is wonderful, because you have to be passionate in education and to be in our field, so I think that would be the first one. I think also caring. Again, I look at her as a person that truly cares about each and every one of the children in our school. And again, being a Kids at Hope school, that's what you have to be. You know, in a situation where a lot of our children don't have that support, she is that support for so many of those children. And it shows each and every day when you're in her classroom. You know, from just seeing her in the classroom and you watch the kids interact with her, but even in the hallway when the kids will come up and want to hug her, you know, and visit with her, and just, you know, they find that bond with her. And I always kind of go back to Kids at Hope, because I think that encompasses so much, and I know that's not an adjective per se by itself, but I really talk about the Kids at Hope philosophy as a whole, because again, she really is worried about the child as a whole. You know, I mean, are we meeting the needs for the children across the board? And she does such an excellent job with that. So I could go on with 3 or 4 others, but I know you said 3, so I'll try and limit that.
Okay. Now, kindergarten, we're all familiar with the poem that speaks about everything I ever really needed to know. I learned in kindergarten, I learned to share, I learned to play fair, and that kind of thing. But as a kindergarten teacher, how do you see yourself preparing your students to be career and or college ready?
I get really excited about this question because in my class, we always say, I say, okay, you know, especially now that it's the second half of the year, I say, I'm getting you ready for first grade, but what else am I getting you ready for? And they all say, college. So that's something that we say every day. Wow. And not only do I just say that, but then I find out what they want to do. So like, for example, last year I had a student who wanted to be a scientist. So from that I got, okay, well, maybe chemistry. Well, let's find a school that is the best school in the United States that has a chemistry degree. So we found that it was, I believe it was UCLA. So we did an online campus tour of UCLA, and students are able, so we did that. We did UCLA, we did Harvard, we even did, you know, colleges around here, of course, Indian River State College, Florida State University, and students are able to, even in kindergarten, they can grasp that concept of, right now, the decisions I'm making as a 5-year-old, which is funny to say, but you know, getting ready for college and learning where I want to go. And if you ask my students from last year, I mean, they tell you where they want to go. They want to go to Harvard, and they want to go to Indian River State College, and I get really excited about that because I want them so badly to go to college.
As a Teacher of the Year, we often ask that person to be an ambassador for our school. And with that comes the task of speaking to parents, to community members, sometimes to students and other organizations. What would you say to a parent to help that person ensure that their child remains successful?
I guess I would tell a parent who's very involved with their child to let their child fail. And let me explain. I don't mean go home and let your child do their homework by themselves and, oh, well, you don't know it. I mean, if a child is struggling, help them, but let them struggle and let them learn failure and let them learn what it's like to succeed, but let them learn what it's like to not succeed. Because I think that's so important in our world today, is that we have people who know how to fail and how to grow from failure.
Ms. Smith, with that, we often use the Teacher of the Year as sort of a mentor for new teachers. What advice would you offer to them?
For them coming to St. Lucie County, I would say to just breathe, and it's very overwhelming. I came from the north, and I feel like a lot of teachers do, and it's very different in many ways down here. And just breathe and remember why you became a teacher, and remember that your love for students first and foremost, and your love to teach, and your love to make a difference in the world. And that's, in reality, that's why we're all here. We're here to help children to learn and to grow and to be better people.
I want to change the focus just a little bit, because we've done a lot of speaking about what it is that you do and how it's done. But ask you to answer some questions that's really just about you. Why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I want to make a difference in this world, and as one person, that's a daunting task. But as a teacher, I have 18 students in my class every year for however long I'm a teacher. So those 18 students are with me for 7 hours a day, and I'm able to teach them, you know, not just math and reading and science, but I'm able to teach them how to be good people and how to live in this world. And they go from me, and they're 18 students, and they can go and tell their families and their friends, and then they go tell their family and their friends. So I feel like I became a teacher to make a difference, and I know that I'm doing that through my students.
Mr. Hisman, what makes Mrs. Smith the perfect candidate for this honor?
I think she exhibits that enthusiasm that we look for in teaching. You know, when you're talking about an educator, you know, you always look at, do you want someone who is very sharp? And obviously she qualifies for that because she is a very intelligent person. She's qualified and be able to attend all the classes she's taken, all those good things. But I think it's really boils down to is she really is that type of person that's going to give it her all. She's the type of person that I can count on to, like I said in the past, step forward. She's the type of person that really cares. So she's well-rounded in all those areas that you know that you're looking for as an educator. And when I say an educator, as a principal, you know, you want that teacher that you know is going to do all the things that you need them to do, and she hits all those pieces. You know, we talk about the framework and the St. Lucie County framework and Marzano, and you know, going in her classroom, you see so many of those things happening each and every time you're walking in those classrooms. But then you also look at the other pieces, the planning pieces and the activities that take place outside of the school and how she participates with her peers and all those other things. And so, you know, especially she's a relatively new teacher, and she stepped up, and you wouldn't know she's a new teacher. You'd think she's a veteran teacher from her experiences and how she handles herself, both in the classroom and with her peers.
So when will you know that you're a success, Ms. Smith?
I think I'll know I'm a success when my students in 12 years come back to me and they say, Ms. Smith, I'm going to Harvard, I'm going to Florida College or university, and it's because you drilled that in our head in kindergarten when I was 5 years old. You made me believe in myself that is something that I could do.
Mr. Hisman, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewing audience about your fantastic Ms. Smith, the Teacher of the Year for Weatherby?
Again, I think she kind of summarized it with us, you know, and I kind of tie that back in with that Kids at Hope. We always talk about our school is, you know, where do you plan to be in your long term for your children? And we start in kindergarten. We actually start in pre-K with them, and we are saying those things. Are you going to college? Are you doing those things? And she does. She has that belief in her children, and as our school does as a philosophy, but she is definitely one that takes the charge of that and really makes sure her students know that they are important and they can be anything they want to be.
Ms. Smith, what is it that you know for sure? And when you answer this question, just think about your your learning, your schooling, the work that you're doing with and for kids and for the community, what is it that you know for sure?
Oh, you brought in that question. Let's see. I know for sure that I can make a difference, and that I am a good teacher, and that I make my students feel loved every day. And through that, I think that can change the world, as big as that might sound, through my teaching.
Finish the phrase for me. I believe.
All children are capable of success, no exceptions. That's something we say every day at school, and as corny as it may sound, and something I think just said last year, it's something I believed, but I've truly come to believe that all children are capable of success, and success is a relative term, and that might mean for one student that they write the letter A, and for another student they're reading a chapter book.
You mentioned about changing the world with your students starting in kindergarten. So I want to leave you with these words from Nelson Mandela when he said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Weatherby Elementary School. Mr. Hisman, thank you for joining us, and we look forward, Ms. Smith, for great things from you and your wonderful kindergarten students that are already college bound.
Thank you.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
At this time, joining us from Fairlawn Elementary is the wonderful Miss Kelly Johnson, who's the fantastic Teacher of the Year for Fairlawn Elementary. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
And Miss Hadeen is joining her. Jennifer Hadeen is the wonderful principal at Fairlawn Elementary as well. It's a pleasure to have you sitting here with us as well.
Thank you.
We're going to jump right in, but because we may have some viewers that don't know about you, would you please just briefly introduce yourself to them? Make sure you tell us the college that you attended, your major, and the grade and our grades, as well as subjects that you're teaching at this time.
Sure. My name's Kelly Johnson again. I currently teach 3rd grade at Fairlawn Elementary, and I am a native of Fort Pierce.
Native of Fort Pierce?
Yes, and I started at Fort Pierce Elementary, and then White City, Lincoln Park. I graduated from Fort Pierce Westwood.
Once a Panther? Always a Panther. We're really excited, Ms. Johnson, because we have had so many persons to come through to sit in this very chair that are actually products of St. Lucie Public Schools. So every time we hear it, we're sitting there smiling on edge saying, yes, yes, it's another one of us, another one of us. I'm sorry for interrupting, but we have to get that in. And so as we continue to move forward, we want to talk about what is your favorite part of teaching?
I have a lot of favorite parts. I like the variety. I like the creative challenges every day. I think the best moment of teaching is when that struggling student has tried and I've worked on different methods and strategies, and they have that aha moment. And they look at you with a big grin, and it just touches your heart. So that's why that's my favorite part.
Have you always known that you wanted to be an educator? And if not, when did you make that decision or discovery?
Well, when I was 10, or about 10, my classmate that lived across the street from me couldn't read, and the kids made fun of him. So every day when we got off the bus, we would sit on his front porch, and we worked and practiced reading. And he became an avid reader, and he still is today, and we're still in contact. So I knew then.
That's great.
This was for me.
10 years old, helping your neighbor in St. Lucie County, and then coming back and working in St. Lucie. I marvel at that. When you think back, when you reflect, would you think that there might have been a teacher or teachers along the way that actually inspired you to become a teacher, or that it's inspiring you still today?
Oh, definitely. You know, being in St. Lucie County, I had top teachers throughout my education. But the one that's the most inspiring would be my mom. She just retired after 46 years of teaching.
Wow.
And I got to see every day, you know, the joy that she brought home, you know, making a positive influence in the kids' lives and spoiling her kids. And I do the same.
You do the same. I did the same as well, so I get it.
I remember.
Miss Adine,
Sir.
would you please introduce yourself to our viewers so they'll know a little bit more about you and your education background as well?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Hadeen. I've been at Fairlawn. This will be my 3rd year. I graduated from IRSC and FAU and Nova, all Florida colleges. Been in St. Lucie County. This is my 13th year, I believe. And been at Windmill Point. I was a 5th and 6th grade teacher. I worked at Northport, Village Green, Morningside, just been everywhere, had a big experience in each one. And here I am today, Fairlawn.
So when you walk into Miss Johnson's room, what is it that you hear and see?
You know, Miss Johnson, her methods are so wonderful. You walk in her room and you want to stay. You know, she just makes it so that it's the place that everybody wants to be when they go in. Hands-on. I've seen her in the middle of lesson realizing students were challenged and having a hard time understanding, and stop the lesson and go back and right on the spur of the moment to do something different with them until they realized what they were missing. And, you know, so well planned. And she is a master at manipulative. She's our math guru. Her math is her gift. She can take it down to a level for all students and bring it up to all students. She wouldn't tell you this. Her mother worked for me and taught gifted. So she's got lots of background from that experience too. And so she uses all the experiences she had from struggling. She also did math resource at Fairlawn at one point. So she uses all those strategies at once and manages to differentiate her classroom so that every student feels like they're involved at all times.
Ms. Johnson, is there something new or exciting that you're working on this year?
Oh, always.
Always.
Always. We're piloting the iStation software, which is great for helping me individualize instruction. We use Osmo with the iPads, which is a creative way for the kids to think. We're doing the Power Reading program, which is helping me stay up with what the kids are reading in their spare time, and we have really adult conversations about what they're reading. But probably the best thing we're doing this year is the collaborative planning. And so I'm learning from my peers, I'm building better relationships with them, and then I get to share practices that I feel are best. And so we're really all growing from that.
Mr. Dean, when we have a person that has been selected as a Teacher of the Year, when we sit down and we reflect, we know that that person is heavily involved in the total daily operation of our schools. What other activities will we find Ms. Johnson engaged in?
Well, one of the most important, she's obviously the chair of our math committee, because that is her gift. She also is a volunteer math coach for Fairlawn, which means she gives up 1 day a month and goes to the district and represents us and learns and then brings that information back and shares it with her colleagues each month. She also helps us stay involved in various community efforts and supports all the different programs, gifted program that we have at our school. She helps them with getting those activities up and off the ground and sharing what Gifted is doing in their classrooms with her colleagues. She's also the team leader for 3rd grade. So, you know, I keep encouraging her to keep going into leadership because she is quite the leader. She won't tell you that, but she is quite the leader. And it is really shown in her collaborative planning, and her team is amazing this year with collaborative planning.
Heavily involved, just like I thought. Ms. Johnson, we know that when we look at our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement. How do you purposefully plan to use engagement for instruction?
I am constantly looking for new ideas, new ways to present information to the kids. I'm, you know, up all night thinking about it, taking notes, making notes in my phone in the middle of the night. But really, planning for the flexibility. If you notice the kids aren't engaged, changing gears. Sometimes it's small, like just stand up and move around, walk around your desk 2 times, or maybe it's playing a game with them, or doing a brain break in the middle of something. Or sometimes you just change the pace of what you're doing, and maybe they're not engaged because they're not understanding. So just changing and just being flexible for the kids every day.
We also know that the students that we're teaching are very savvy when it comes to their use of technology. So how do you also purposefully plan to use technology during instruction?
Like I said, we're piloting iStation and Osmo, and then we also are heavily involved in research projects on the internet, and we constantly are watching short video clips and playing quick games with using technology. It's definitely filtered throughout our day.
Ms. Adine.
Yes, sir.
After hearing the conversations that we've started with Ms. Johnson, I want to ask you to describe her using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
Ooh, 3 adjectives. Happy, flexible, like she said, and so bright, so bright. One of the best thinkers I've ever experienced. She is able to maintain happiness when sometimes happiness is not always easy, and really the best thing about her is that she's able to just maintain and just focus on what's important.
Ms. Johnson, switching gears just a little bit, and I want to ask you this question, not necessarily so much about what it is that you do, but really about you. Why are you a teacher?
There are a lot of reasons. I can't imagine doing anything else. I enjoy working with the kids through their thinking and learning process. I enjoy being creative every day, figuring out what they need, but really those aha moments are why I'm a teacher.
Being an elementary school teacher, what impact do you see yourself having on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
We create, as teachers, lifelong learners. I like to foster and find their strengths and help them dig deeper through those strengths, and then help them work on their weaknesses. And that helps them become lifelong learners.
Ms. Adine, tell our viewing audience what makes Ms. Johnson the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor.
Well, starting with the fact that she's a homegrown teacher, I think that's huge. It says a lot about our district. And the fact that she is absolutely a shining star and a trailblazer. She's open to anything. She's willing to do anything that will impact the students in a positive way. She cries with her colleagues. She laughs with her colleagues. She is friends with all of her parents. I mean, on a level where she puts her text out there and they'll text her and say, you know, we're struggling, what do we do? I mean, her heart is just amazing. And not only for the children, but for her colleagues. She helps our first-year teachers. She's mentored first-year teachers. And so she's really got a really great understanding. She's actually this year even volunteered that if we needed her, she could step in and help us with administrative duties if need be. And she's just willing to really put herself out there. The number of hours that she puts in is just amazing.
Ms. Johnson, often the Teacher of the Year is called to be an ambassador for our schools. What would you say to a parent to help them ensure that their child remains successful?
Being available to parents is probably the best way to ensure that. I conference with parents throughout the year and their students. I explain the standards because they're very confusing. I help them see where their child is starting and where their child needs to get to, the end goal. And then we sit down together and make a plan for that goal. And then we work hard every day and have constant communication with the parents.
I also heard Mr. Dean say that you share with new teachers, mentor new teachers. What advice as Teacher of the Year do you often or would you give to a new teacher?
I have often said, be organized, be open to try new things. But the key point that I'd always try to put across is the key to behavior management is engaging instruction to each student's skill level every day, all day long.
When will you know that you are a success?
Well, I I have successes all the time. When we meet goals and my students meet goals, I feel successful. When students come back and tell you, because I taught home ec first, and they tell you that they still make egg in a hole like I taught 20 years ago, or they come up after and show me that the book that they've been reading, and they're still excited about learning. I think those show success, and I hope those continue.
Mr. Dean, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewing audience about the wonderful Ms. Johnson?
I believe in my heart that Ms. Johnson really does represent the outstanding educators that we have here in St. Lucie County, and that by choosing her to represent us, I think that it would be something that would be well received all throughout the state.
Now, Ms. Johnson, I want you to think about your career totally. Being a student, being a home ec teacher, being an elementary teacher, and reflect and answer this question, please. What is it that you know for sure? And we're not just talking about education and learning. Just what is it that you know for sure? All encompassing.
Well, I feel like education is not stagnant. I feel like it's an art and a science. It's an art because it's always changing. You have to be creative all the time. And it's a science because you're studying and you're learning and you're observing and you're experimenting and you're always collecting data. So I know without a doubt that it will always change and that I want to change with it.
Let's wrap up. Finish this phrase for me. I believe.
I believe all students can learn and have success, but it's my job to figure out how to help them get there.
Clay Bedford said these words: you can teach a student a lesson for a day, but if you can teach him to learn by creating curiosity, he will continue the learning process as long as he lives. Thank you for continuing to create that curiosity in our students so that they will continue to want to love and learn for the rest of their lives. Mr. Dean, thank you for joining us and sharing Ms. Johnson and her wonderful story with our viewing audience. Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year for Fairlawn Elementary School.
Thank you.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning. Why?
Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this.
You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately.
That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
At this time, joining us from St. Lucie West Centennial High School is the wonderful Miss Sandra Olivera and the wonderful Miss Andrea Popwell. Miss Olivera is the Teacher of the Year, and Miss Popwell is the dynamic principal there. Ladies, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
This is our opportunity to celebrate, congratulate all those persons that have been selected as the Teacher of the Year, but also to introduce you and share the wonderful teaching field that we have here in St. Lucie County with all of our viewers. So, Ms. Olivera, would you please briefly introduce yourself to our audience? Make sure you tell them where you studied, your area of concentration, and what you're currently teaching at St. Lucie West Centennial High.
Okay. Well, as you introduced, I am currently at St. Lucie West Centennial High School, and I currently teach criminal justice levels 2 and 3. I also teach law studies and legal systems. In addition to that, I also teach some dual enrollment classes. I teach dual enrollment constitutional law and dual enrollment criminal law. And I also coordinate an internship program for the students that have completed the academy and are looking for opportunities to expand their learning through an internship program. As far as my education and my background, I obtained a bachelor's degree from the University of Massachusetts in history and in political science. I then went directly into law school where I received a Juris Doctorate, and that was also through the University of Massachusetts Law School. Then I practiced law for about 10 years, and then I decided to go back to school, and I obtained a master's in public administration from Bridgewater State College. And most recently, I completed a master's in educational leadership from Florida Atlantic University.
A lifelong learner.
You can say that.
So, with all of that, tell me, what is your favorite part of teaching?
The students, without a doubt. I feel that working with students, being around students, fuels my passion for teaching. And when the students come into the classroom with that energy and that desire to learn, it just makes me want to learn as well with them and through them, and want to share the knowledge that I have with them.
When and how did you decide to become a teacher?
Actually, that's an interesting question. It was actually when I was practicing, believe it or not. I was fortunate enough to work for a law firm that did a lot of community outreach, and we did a lot of public work. And one of my responsibilities as a staff attorney for that firm was that I had to coordinate trainings for individuals who could not afford to pay for their own attorneys. And I would coordinate and then deliver the trainings to these individuals. And while I was actually teaching these people how to navigate the court system, it was rewarding knowing that I was making a difference and having an impact on their lives. And when I moved to Florida, I was looking for a career change. And I'm like, why not teaching? And just never turned back since. It's just been great.
In your reflection and thinking about your career change, did you ever think about that there might have been a person or persons that inspired you that might have just been buried in your back of your mind but came to fruition later?
Absolutely. Most definitely my 5th grade elementary school teacher. Having come from a background of immigrant parents, I started kindergarten not speaking one word of English. So elementary school was quite challenging for me. And it wasn't until I entered this teacher's classroom that I felt the desire to want to learn and to want to succeed, because she instilled in me confidence, and she built up her students, and she engaged her students, and she led all of her students to believe that they could learn and that they could succeed. And ever since having her as a teacher, that was so inspiring to me that I wanted to be able to share that with other individuals as well, especially with my own students. And I hope that I can share the same values that she shared with me with my students, and inspire them to become lifelong learners and to want to succeed as well.
Ms. Popwell, just in case there's someone that does not know the very dynamic, wonderful Andrea Popwell, would you please give us a little bit about your background as well and how you came to be the principal at St. Lucie West Centennial High?
Of course. Again, my name is Andrea Popwell, principal of St. Lucie West Centennial High School. I started education back in 2000 at Port St. Lucie High School. I started as I think it was called ISS back then. I was ISS. I taught ISS for 2 years. I taught science for 2 years. I taught PE for 2 years. I was a dean for 1 year, and then I transferred to St. Lucie West Centennial High School as an assistant principal, where I was assistant principal for 8 years, and the last 2 years I've been principal of Centennial High School.
Okay, Ms. Popwell, so tell us this. When you enter Ms. Olivera's classroom, what is it that you see and hear?
I hear a teacher who is very passionate about educating her students. Her students are very well engaged. As she explained, she teaches criminal justice, and there's always something very exciting going on in the class, from fingerprinting to doing all types of things, exciting things with her kids that you can just really see that the kids love being in her class.
Ms. Olivera, I know that your class can be very hands-on, but when we look at our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is certainly all about engagement. How do you purposefully plan engagement for instruction and learning?
Well, I believe that engagement enhances learning. So when I do plan for instruction, I try to think about what types of activities and assignments and tasks I'm going to incorporate into my lessons to keep the students engaged. And that can vary from anything from having them work in pairs or small groups to working on their laptops while they're doing research or working on projects. It also I use a lot of Kagan strategies in the classroom because I want to keep them moving. I want to keep them at a lively pace. So I try to incorporate as many different methods and as many different strategies and techniques as I know and that have been shared with me, so that I don't lose the students. I want to make sure that they are not only learning, but that they're enhancing their learning through the hands-on activities and through the engagement strategies and methods that I have incorporated into their lessons.
In addition, we know that your students are very technologically savvy. How do you purposefully plan the use of technology in instruction and learning?
I feel that it's almost impossible not to incorporate technology in today's world. There's so much technology around us that our students have to be technologically savvy. So yeah, I do incorporate technology as much as I can, from anywhere from using PowerPoints and Prezi presentations to using the laptops in the classroom for research, to using the internet for games. The kids love games. I love using games to review and to reinforce learning. I also am a huge proponent of using Skyward to post assignments and comments and to communicate with students and parents. So whenever I have an opportunity to encourage the use of technology, to incorporate it into my instruction, I most definitely do.
Is there something new and or exciting that you're working on this year?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Ms. Popple a couple of months ago called me into her office. And,
she had one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing, Sandra. She asked me if I would be interested in becoming the ACE coordinator. St. Lucie West Centennial High School is going to be implementing the ACE program at Centennial next year. And I am so proud to be a part of this endeavor because, well, the ACE program is the Advanced International Certificate of Education, and it's an accelerated program, which I believe will offer our students tremendous opportunities to further their college and their careers. Not only does the program give them a deeper understanding in particular subject areas, but it also develops analytical skills and it also develops critical thinking skills that they can use not only in the program courses, but also they can transfer that into other college courses and into their careers to become successful. So I'm really excited about the ACE program, and I'm hoping that through collaboration with Ms. Popwell and our guidance department, we can make it a huge success at Centennial.
Ms. Popwell, we know that to be the teacher of the year, that person is very heavily involved in just the total operation of our schools. Tell us some other activities that Ms. Olivera may be involved in at Centennial.
Because she has so much extra time.
Yeah.
In addition to being our ACE coordinator, she's also involved with National Honor Society, co-sponsor of National Honor Society. She is a teacher leader. She has so many things I can't remember everything she does.
School newsletter.
Yes, she does the school newsletter.
Teacher mentor through the Shine program. Team court.
As I said, all around just about everything.
She honestly does, and she's a team player, and as you can tell, anything that's asked of her, she definitely goes above and beyond to get it done.
Do this for me, Ms. Popwell. Describe her using 3 adjectives and tell us why you chose those 3.
You know, it's very difficult to describe Sandra using 3 adjectives. Definitely committed, loyal, then team player.
Tell us why.
Basically, for the reasons that I've already stated, because I've never gone to her at one time during our, I believe we've been at Centennial the same amount of time, 10 years. We started at the same time. I've never once gone to her and asked her for her assistance, and she said no. Regardless of how full her plate is, she's always a willing participant to help further along our kids.
Ms. Olivera, what impact do you see yourself having on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
Well, being an academy career academy teacher, I am fortunate in that students can and sometimes are in my class for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. And through the curriculum, the criminal justice curriculum, we do a lot of research, we do a lot of writing, we do a lot of reading, we do a lot of analyzing, and these are all skills that these students can then transfer into their college careers and into their professional careers. And I believe that because I have the ability to work with these students for so long and over the course of so many years, it gives me an opportunity to see them grow. I see them come to me sometimes in their freshman or sophomore years, and then by the time they graduate, I see a tremendous change and a tremendous growth in them. And I know that they're ready because a lot of them sometimes come back to me after they've graduated, or they'll email me or call me to tell me, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you've instilled in me. Thank you for how you taught me. Because of the skills that I learned in your classroom, I can now use that in my college courses or use that in my current job or in my current career. And knowing that they have been a success is fulfilling and rewarding.
As the Teacher of the Year, you're often called upon to be an ambassador and the spokesperson for the school, meeting with parents, speaking to community members and different other organizations. What would you say to a parent to help them ensure that their child is a success?
I would encourage parents to stay involved in their child's education, keep an open line of communication with teachers, and build positive relationships with those teachers and work collaboratively with those teachers. Because I think through that parent-teacher collaboration, the parents and the teachers can work together to devise a plan and set goals for that student's success. And as far as students, I would encourage students to never give up. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because it's through those mistakes that we often learn. And seek out the resources that you need to succeed.
I heard you and Ms. Potwell mention that you also mentor and work with new teachers. So what advice would you offer to a new teacher?
Being a new teacher can sometimes be overwhelming. I would advise the new teacher, don't give up, stick with it. It's challenging. Their teachers are learning new routines, they're learning new things, they're learning about their students, and it's often a daunting task to take it all on. But I would encourage teachers to work closely with their mentors, work closely with senior teachers or veteran teachers, and seek out the help and the resources that they need to develop their skills and their abilities professionally. And in addition to that, we're fortunate enough to work in a progressive school district where we have tremendous resources offered to us through the district. And I would encourage teachers to take advantage of those professional development offerings and other resources that are available to develop themselves professionally so that they can become better teachers to better themselves and better their students as well.
Ms. Potwell, so what makes Ms. Olivera the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor?
She's an all-around great teacher. From her dedication to her students, her involvement in the community, being a teacher leader, again, stepping up and doing anything and everything that's asked of her. Her students truly do love her and come back and thank her for her input. I really couldn't think of a better person or candidate to represent St. Lucie West Centennial High School.
Great, great, great. Ms. Olivera, switching gears just a little bit, because we've talked a lot about what it is that you do and how it's done. But have you focused specifically on yourself? Why are you a teacher?
I believe that I'm a teacher for the love of learning. As I mentioned earlier, and as Ms. Popwell mentioned, I am a lifelong learner, and I think that learning is so important and so crucial to success. And as educators, it's our responsibility to provide safe environments for our students so that we can instill those values in them and also develop those abilities and skills that they need to become successful in life. So I think overall, just the love of learning is what keeps me going.
When will you know that you are a success?
When my students succeed, without a doubt. When I hear of a student succeeding, and successes can be big and small. It could be the milestone successes of, graduating college or, graduating law school. I've had some students come back and say, thank you, Ms. Olivera, because of you, you inspired me. I've become, I've applied to law school or I've completed law school. But also the small successes. When you see a struggling student in the classroom and, they're trying to master that task and for some reason they're just not getting it, and then they have that aha moment and you see the excitement in their face or their eyes, and they're like, I got it, I know it, I can do this. That's a success as well. So seeing the small successes and the large successes, once I see them succeed, then I know I've done my job correctly and I know that I've succeeded.
Ms. Potwell, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewing audience about Ms. Olivera, the Teacher of the Year for Centennial High?
I don't know what else I could say about Ms. Olivera other than I truly respect her, I admire her, I appreciate her dedication to Centennial High School. She truly bleeds red, white, and blue. She is an aspiring administrator also, and as you can tell from her interview that I think she's going to do extremely well when she makes her next step in education.
Ms. Olivera, knowing all that you know experiencing all that you have experienced, sharing all that you have shared. I want you to think about this question totally, not just focus specifically on education, but in total about the work, and we can include the work that we do with children in changing and making the world a better place. And my question is, what is it that you know for sure?
Well, I know for sure that education is the key to success. And I feel that as educators, we can make a difference in the world. And even if it means taking it one day at a time, one child at a time, through what we do in our classrooms and what we do in our schools, I believe that we can lead every child to success.
Let's wrap it up. Let's ask you to finish the phrase, I believe.
I believe every child can learn and every child can succeed.
Joseph Campbell told us that the job of the educator is to teach students to see vitality in themselves. I'm sure with what the students are able to experience each and every day in your classroom, that they see that vitality in themselves, which propels them to be better and reach higher heights. Ms. Potwell, thank you for joining us on our Teacher of the Year Salute Show. And Ms. Olivera, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Centennial High School.
Thank you very much.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep
pedaling. Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
At this time, joining us from Samuel Gaines Academy is the wonderful Miss Karen Madalena, who's representing them as the Teacher of the Year. Miss Madalena, welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show.
Thank you.
Along with Miss Madalena is the fantastic Miss Tracy Wilkie, who's the wonderful principal at Samuel Gaines. Welcome, Miss Wilkie.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining. This is our opportunity to celebrate teachers and also to introduce the wonderful Teachers of the Year for each of our sites to our viewing audience. Just in case there's someone that does not know the wonderful Karen Madalena, would you please give us a little about your background? Make sure you include the school that you attended, what you're currently teaching, your major, just that kind of briefly.
Okay, well, I am originally from Massachusetts. I've been in Florida since 1984. I came down and wanted to be a teacher, wanted to go to college, but I had some speed bumps along the way, and I had a child, and that was just more important then. After she graduated from high school, I decided, well, maybe it's time for me to finish my college education, and I did so, and continued on with becoming a teacher, and I love it.
So what are you currently teaching at Samuel Gaines?
I teach K through 1. I have students with autism. It's a self-contained class.
Wow. Well, ESC classes.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Okay. Thinking about what you teach and the road that led you to teaching, what's the favorite part of teaching?
The favorite part of teaching is that every day is different. There's new obstacles, new challenges, new gains that are being made. Just everything's different every day.
You mentioned in your intro that there were some speed bumps along the way. Even though there might have been some speed bumps, did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher?
Yes.
Can you say that there might have been a teacher or teachers that possibly influenced you to become an educator?
Well, I was a child of a single mom. I was what you call a latchkey kid. So I found entertainment and reading every day. My getaway from everything was to throw myself into books, and I had a teacher that really influenced me and got me reading a lot, provided me with books. So I really enjoyed that, and that's when I decided that I wanted my friends to read, and if they weren't reading, I'd help them read so that they could eventually enjoy it as much as I did. And so that's what really made me want to be a teacher, because I wanted other people to enjoy reading as much as I did.
Great. All right, Ms. Wilkie, we need to jump you right in immediately so that we can all have this wonderful conversation about Miss Madalena and the work that she does at Samuel Gaines. But just in case somebody does not know the fantastic Tracy Wilkie as well, give us a little bit about your background and you becoming the principal at Gaines.
Okay.
Well, I've been an educator in St. Lucie County for 25 years. And I started out as an ESE teacher, so Cameron and I have a lot in common.
Kindred spirits there.
That's right. And then I became a speech-language pathologist, and then on into administration, and eventually to Samuel Gaines. This is my 3rd year there as principal.
Okay, so as the principal, you get to visit Miss Madalena's class on a regular basis and see the magic that's happening there. Tell me, what is it that you see and hear when you visit her classroom?
Yeah, it's a real treat when I come in. As Karen explained, she does have the primary students with autism. So the focus that you see there is very much on nurturing the students, the adult, the team effort. She has 2 to 3 other adults all the time working with her, including speech-language pathologists, occupational therapists, and so you'll see, going in perhaps a co-teach lesson with the speech-language pathologist, and where we're really focusing on communication skills and social skills with the students, along with the academics. At the same time, you'll see the other adults one-on-one in workstations. You'll see them using technology, other communication devices, anything to get to know where the students are and what's going on inside their minds.
Miss Wilkie alluded to the fact of technology, the use of technology, Miss Madalena. So how we know that these students, they're born basically with technology in their hand. They're always doing something, touching and playing with some kind of electronic technological device. How do you purposefully use technology in instruction?
Well, actually, we're real fortunate. We have a smart board in our classroom, and our students with autism are real visual learners. So with them being able to use the technology, especially the smart board, it's more hands-on. They're more into the lessons. They enjoy it more, and because they enjoy it, they're learning more. We also have touch screens to do discrete trials on our computers. We're teaching the kids how to use the mouse and how to use iPads. We do have a couple iPads in our classroom. So having them, have access to the technology is really a benefit to them. We also have a lot of communication devices in the classroom that through the years I've come across, and I've been using them for them to communicate with me, because with the students with autism, they don't necessarily have the ability to, verbally talk with us or answer questions and things like that. So by giving them a communication device, they can tell me that they understand the lesson that's being taught by pointing to or touching, different things on the technology device.
Engagement is a major tool for instruction. When we look at our framework for quality instruction, of course, DQ5 is all about engagement. Working with primary kids that come with that, with the autism, we know that keeping them engaged helps their learning. So how do you purposefully plan engagement for those students?
Well, first of all, having help in my classroom is one of the biggest things for me. With the help that I have, we're able to keep them all engaged. We have centers running all the time. There's always somebody doing something. We do have, like I said, the technology using the smart board. We have a lot of manipulatives that we use. We keep them engaged by just finding out what they enjoy doing. And if they enjoy doing it, they're going to want to work and they're going to want to do the task.
Now, the primary grades are some wonderful times of learning for students. Is there something new and or exciting that you're working on with those babies in primary school?
Actually, yeah. This year I was chosen to be a PEPSA partner with Carr, which is a Center for Autism-Related Disabilities. I have a partner from Carr that comes to our classroom, and we're working on getting some new communication devices for them and teaching them how to communicate better with us. We'll be doing an action research project and presenting that next year at the CARD conference.
Okay.
So,
Ms. Wilkie, we talked about it before we went on air about how Teachers of the Years are always involved, and we know that those persons selected as the Teacher of the Year basically help the total operation of the school. They might be teaching in a primary grade, but they're helping everything work. So can you tell us some of the other activities that Miss Madalena is involved in at Samuel Gaines?
Sure, absolutely, and I hope we have time to go through it.
I'll stop you if I have to.
But she really is an integral member of the faculty council. And so part of that is part of the operation of the school and monitoring the school improvement plan and implementation of that. So that's really a major component of what Karen does, as well as the Sunshine Committee. And I'll tell you, for building school culture, our Sunshine Committee has really been very important. And when I came to Sam Gaines 3 years ago, we didn't have a Sunshine Committee, and now we have 90+ students, teachers and staff, almost every single
participating.
And that's awesome. I mean, and really they sponsor some wonderful things, and it just brings the spirit and reminds us of why we work collegially together, and to celebrate one another in our efforts. And through that, she does box tops. She volunteered to make sure that we were collecting box tops. She works with volunteers. She reaches out to the colleges. She's been doing things with the Special Olympics and the autism walk that we have here in St. Lucie County, and working with parents in the community.
So, Ms. Madalena, although these students are in kindergarten and first grade, those primary grades, how are you preparing them for their future? How are we helping them be able to be career and college ready, or be able to do anything that they choose to do in their future?
I just want to make sure that they're prepared for life, with life skills, and that they can speak to us, and that they can be an integral part of our society. Working with ESE students, we want them to know that they can do what they want to do, whatever they want to do, that there's no limits. I just want them to be able to have a successful life.
As a Teacher of the Year, we often call on you to be a spokesperson for our schools. What advice would you give to a parent to help them ensure that their child is successful?
I work with my parents a lot. I stay in contact with them every day. I always encourage them to do research on autism, especially. I ask them to be a part of the school. I ask them to be a part of their education. If they ever have any questions, I have an open door policy in my classroom. I really want them to see what their kids are doing and what their kids are capable of doing.
Likewise, we often ask the Teacher of the Year to mentor or share information with new teachers. What advice would you give to a new teacher?
Reach out. Reach out to your other teachers. Reach out for help. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just know that there are other people there who have been through what you're going through right now.
Other people there that can assist you
exactly.
as well. Yeah. Ms. Wilkie, please describe Ms. Madalena, please, using 3 adjectives, and tell me why.
I would tell you why.
And tell me why.
So one is believer. She is a believer. She believes in all of her students, as well as the students on across our campus. Yesterday, I was able to watch an activity where she's partnering with some middle school classrooms, and those kids, the 8th graders or 7th graders, are teaching the kids how to get ready for the Special Olympics. But she's instilling belief in our middle school students at the same time as she's instilling belief in her own students. A motivator, and I think I already said that through the Sunshine Committee, really spreading spirit, encouraging people to get involved and to make the best out of their work day. It is important, and so she really is a cheerleader for our school and for the teachers and staff there, and a leader. She really brings her leadership skills to her own classroom as well throughout our school, and that is definitely noticeable during faculty council.
I hope I get it right, and jump in and help me, both of you beautiful ladies, if I say it wrong, but at Samuel Gaines Academy, we believe in gains at Gaines. Am I right? So we know that as the Teacher of the Year, you have a strong belief But we want to change our focus a little bit because of that belief and ask you to not necessarily talk about what it is that you do all day long, but to talk about you. Why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I love my students. I treat every student like they're my own. I want them to grow up to be amazing adults. I want them to grow up to remember their childhood years as being good ones. I especially love it when I have a student that says his first word. I love it when a child holds their pencil for the first time. I like when I hear that a child can't do something. And
you prove that they can.
And I prove that they can.
There's that belief again.
Yes, that's the best. That's the best feeling in the world. I love those aha moments.
Ms. Wilkie, knowing that, why or what makes Ms. Karen Madalena the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor? What makes her the perfect candidate? Knowing all that we know.
Her heart, for sure. Absolutely. If you have heart, you can do anything.
Ms. Madalena, big heart, big beliefs. When will you know that you are a success?
I'm a success when I see that my students are successful, whether it be graduating from high school or, like I said, saying their first word, recognizing the first number or a first letter. That's when I know I'm a success, when I go home and I was like, wow, he did that today. Or, you know, he looked at me. When you call a student's name and the student actually looks at you, he responds to his name being called. That's when I know I've done what I'm supposed to be doing.
Ms. Wilkie, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about the wonderful Karen Madalena, the Teacher of the Year for Samuel Gaines Academy?
I think what you need to know about Karen is that if you ever need anything, she's there for you. She'll be there as a friend, as a mentor, or for any material, for food, anything. She'll be the provider.
Ms. Madalena, when we think about what you described as some bumps in the road, when we think about you going back to school, when we think about the chosen career and the work that you do each and every day, and then we think about life in total, so it's not just about education, even though our answer could be specifically pinpointed there. Tell us, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that I made the right decision in going back to school. It was something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to go to college. I'm actually the first person in my family to graduate college.
Oh, congratulations.
Even though I did it at a later age, I did it. So I'm happy that I did that.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, we're going to wrap up then with you completing this phrase. I believe
that everybody can be successful.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. And because of your belief and because of the work that you do each and every day at Samuel Gaines Academy, I want to leave you with the words of Clay Bedford when he said, "You can teach a student a lesson for a day, but if you can teach him to learn by creating curiosity, he will continue the learning process as long as he lives." Thank you for creating the curiosity for learning in all of your wonderful students. Ms. Wilkie, thank you for joining us. And Ms. Madalena, congratulations on being selected as the Teacher of the Year for Samuel Gaines Academy.
Thank you.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center. Keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep
pedaling. Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Joining us now from Mariposa Elementary School is the fantastic Miss Terry Campbell, who is their Teacher of the Year. Miss Campbell, welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Also joining us is the very dynamic principal for Mariposa Elementary School, my good friend, Mr. Craig Lowe.
Afternoon.
Thank you, thank you. Now we're going to jump right in, Ms. Campbell. I know that you've been on this journey and studied and prepared, and it's been in education, but tell us a little bit about your background, just in case there's some viewers that don't know. Make sure you include the school that you attended. Tell us also what your major was and what you're currently doing as an educator.
Okay, so this is my 16th year in St. Lucie County. As an educator, I'm actually a native to St. Lucie County, grew up here, went to school here. I'm very proud of that.
And what school did you graduate from?
I actually graduated from John Carroll High.
From John Carroll High.
Yes,
all right,
I did.
still another St. Lucie product.
Yes,
all
I
right.
absolutely did. Many generations here for my family.
Great.
So yes, definitely love our St. Lucie County. So I began my teaching career. I went to FAU for my bachelor's and my master's. I began teaching at Lawnwood Elementary, 3rd grade. So that's where I started as a teacher. I then moved into the role of literacy coach, and I am currently at Mariposa Elementary, and I'm the guidance counselor at Mariposa Elementary School.
Elementary guidance counselor.
Yes.
So what is your favorite part about being a counselor?
My favorite part of being a counselor is the children, of course, is seeing them smile, seeing them content, seeing them at ease.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
I have always known I wanted to be a teacher. My parents actually told me that as a young child I would play school with all of my
teddy bears,
animals, and dolls. So I think that's always been in me. And definitely through the years, I think I just saw that need for society and decided that was my role.
Knowing that it's always been a part of you, I know you've taken the time to reflect. Do you think that there might have been a teacher or maybe teachers along the way that kind of inspired you, and if so?
Of course. I definitely can think of one in particular would be Mrs. Esom at John Carroll. She played a large role, I think, in making learning fun and showing me that learning is something that can be fun and educational at the same time. And that's how I learned Shakespeare.
Tomorrow.
Exactly.
The whole world is, yes, Shakespeare, right?
Yes.
Ms. Lowe, let's get you involved in our conversation, please. Tell our viewing audience a little bit about my very good friend, the dynamic Craig Logan, how your educational background and journey.
Well, mine's been going on for a little bit longer. Okay,
mine too, it's okay.
This is year 43 for me. The last 11 years have been here in St. Lucie County. My other years were up in Maryland and Montgomery County. I've been a teacher and been an assistant principal, been a department head in middle school, and been a principal for 23 years on that.
All right.
Very happy to be at Mariposa with
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Well, you get to see Mrs. Campbell in action just about every day.
Yes, I do.
So share with us, what is it that you see, what is it that you hear when she's working with students?
When Mrs. Campbell is working with students, it's not always something that I'm going to see at that point, because she is the one that they want to see, they want to be with, they want to get some help, they want to get some assistance, they want to get someone who is going to exhibit the caring that she does for them and the advice that she shares with them. She meets with small groups, she meets individually with kids. She runs her MTSS program at our school. She runs our PST meetings with our parents and staff. The one thing I can say about Mrs. Campbell is it's hard to necessarily find her in one spot because she's all over. She helps in classrooms. She helps with students that are in need of someone who needs to help them get through a crisis at that particular point in time. She does an outstanding job with that, and an outstanding job with our parents and with staff, helping them with strategies to use for our children in the classroom.
Ms. Campbell, my next couple of questions may be just a little tough, but if you would keep your focus on the work that you do as a counselor and try to make your answer to the question applicable to that.
Okay.
DQ5 in our Framework for Quality Instruction is all about engagement.
Correct.
When students come to the counselor, how does the counselor have activities that purposefully engage students to help them with whatever it is that you may be working with them on?
So the DQ5 on engagement is part of my role as a counselor is to engage them when they're with me, obviously, to help them if there is some sort of crisis going on that they're talking through, that we're working on. It may be through the arts, you know, it may be that we're doing it through acting things out or through music or drawing with things that they're having trouble with. The other part of DQ5 and the engagement is that when students' basic needs are not met, they cannot remain engaged in the classroom, or they have a more difficult time to remain engaged in the classroom. And so my job as the counselor is to help them get to that root of that issue or that problem so that they then can become more engaged in the classroom and they can have greater learning.
Another tough question, but I'm sure you will handle it. How do you infuse the use of technology in your work with students?
So the use of technology for me as a counselor, a lot of my technology is researching, finding resources that way. It's also students come to work with me. Also, I have some Tier 3 students that come to work with me for reading, also some behavioral students, and we work together with some technology, making some PowerPoints on different social skills that we might be working on, or researching different things that they're working on in class.
So, is there something new and or exciting that you're working on this year at Mariposa?
I really feel like the latest exciting thing that we have going on at Mariposa was over the holiday break. We received an amazing donation from an anonymous donor to probably about over $5,000 worth of gift cards. And so Mr. Logue received the call about the fact that we were gaining these gift cards for our families, our needy families. And I kind of spearheaded that, researched, found our students and our families that were most at need
just like
this time of year.
Just like a counselor.
So we came in over the break.
Wow.
And we made sure that these families had their Publix gift cards so they could enjoy a holiday meal together, or to put basic staples back in their house that they might have been lacking.
I understand, yeah.
And also some gift cards for Toys R Us so that the students could have some pleasures at Christmas.
During the holidays.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was very touching to see the parents' faces at that point.
Mr. Lowe, we know that to be the Teacher of the Year, those persons always go above and beyond the call of duty, coming out during the holidays to assist our children and our parents. What other activities do you see Ms. Campbell involved in? Because we know that she's involved in just helping the total operation of the school.
She's a member of our administrative team, which is our leadership team at Mariposa. I count very heavily upon her advice and a lot of the decisions that we make at our school. She is an integral part of those meetings and those decisions. You'll see her on PBIS, you'll see her in the MTSS, you'll see her at duty wherever we need her. That's where Mrs. Campbell is going to be. She serves so many purposes at our school that she is one of our more indispensable people that I am so happy and fortunate and lucky to have at Mariposa. And the very fact that staff themselves felt strongly that the Teacher of the Year this year was to be our guidance counselor, that begins to put in, I think, another perspective just how high regard she is held in by our staff, by our students, and also by our parents.
Guidance counselor has a major role, plays a major part in the total operation of the school and what students are able to know about and be able to do and achieve. How do you see your role in helping students be career and or college ready?
Career and college readiness, of course, is important even from a young age. We try to encourage our students especially through the curriculum, to begin training for that at a young age, even kindergarten or pre-K, as they're working in the pre-K room or the kindergarten room with different roles that they might explore, different jobs that they might like to have when they get older. But it also starts at the young age of responsibility, taking responsibility for your actions, for yourself. And, you know, things just like being on time, you know, remembering your materials, your homework, all of that plays a role at an early age, just in getting ready for that career.
In your role as guidance counselor, you spend a lot of time talking to children, students, talking to parents. What advice would you give to that child or to the parent to help that child remain successful?
I think the advice that I would give to the parent and to the child would be to be true to themselves, to find their niche in society, in our county, in our state. Find what you're good at and go that direction. Believe in who you are. Make sure that you are happy with what is going on in your life and to not let others persuade you otherwise.
Also, as the Teacher of the Year, we often call on you to be a spokesperson, to be an ambassador, to share with others, be it community members, be it additional colleagues. What advice would you give to a new teacher?
I think the thing that I would say to a new teacher is to first breathe. Keep breathing. You're going to make it. You're going to do great things. But also to get to know and to form relationships with your students, not just your students, but your students' parents, and possibly grandparents and people at home with them, because that is where we can bring our education together, is through our teachers meshing with families.
Mr. Logue, please describe Ms. Campbell using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
First would be dynamic. You happened to use that word when you were talking about her, and it's very true. I see Mrs. Campbell in that way. Second, as a counselor extraordinaire, I would have to say caring. It is a word we use a lot, but it's a word I've seen demonstrated time and time again with all of our kids and parents and extended family members that Mrs. Campbell has done. And the other would be the one that I think the most of, and that's going to be the one where she is an advocate, a child advocate. And when I have questions about what is the direction we should go with a child, she is one of the ones I seek out first to be able to get her thoughts on this. Her background both as a teacher, a literacy coach, as well as a counselor, and you put those all together, certainly help make her into a person that I can get really great advice from, and the school has benefited by that.
Mrs. Campbell, changing our focus just a little, because we talked a lot already about what it is that you do. I want to change the focus a little bit more specifically on you.
Okay.
Why are you a counselor?
In this role as a counselor, I have found my niche. I have found where I belong, and what I believe that I was meant to do. I'm a counselor to help children. I'm a counselor to protect children. I'm a counselor to ensure that students have what they need so that they can be heard, so that their voice matters.
Mr. Logue, so what makes Ms. Campbell the perfect candidate for this honor?
I've worked with a lot of people over these years, and there's some people that stand out above others with their commitment to children. And I think our Teacher of the Year for our district has to be someone who is so extraordinary in that area that it's obvious that her caring and ability to motivate, ability to mentor, ability to instruct them has to be far and above other teachers within our district. I think Mrs. Campbell has exhibited that on numerous occasions that I've had a chance to see firsthand. I get parents that come to me all the time and say, I don't want to talk to you, Mr. Logue, I want to talk to Mrs. Campbell. And because she is the one that is able to help sort through a lot of these things that we're dealing with and to be able to help them. She is a person I count on, not just every day. I count on her throughout each day to be able to offer good advice and to be able to keep things in mind so that we're doing the right thing for the child and doing the right thing for the family.
Ms. Campbell, when will you know that you are a success?
I feel success and know that I have helped whenever I see a child become more successful. When I see them able to grow and to learn and to see them happy.
Mr. Logue, final question for you. Is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about the wonderful Miss Terry Campbell, the guidance counselor at Mariposa Elementary School?
She's an excellent cook, all right? And she has brought in some of the best treats that we've ever had at our school. That's just an aside.
Okay.
But
I'll take it.
In addition to that, she is a person that the staff very much gravitates towards. Her room is a room where if I want to find some people, I know where to go, into Mrs. Campbell's office, and they're going to be there, getting advice on their own children and getting advice on their end too. But she's truly a remarkable individual that I've been blessed to be able to work with these years.
Ms. Campbell, when you think about your journey as a student here in St. Lucie Public, when you think about the roles that you have played in education, tell me, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that children are our treasures. They're what we have. They deserve everything that we can give them. That's what I know for sure.
Final question for you then, and I'm asking you to finish this phrase. I believe
that the most important thing any of us can do, whether we be educators or parents, is to make sure that we're spending our time with our children, make sure that we know who our children are, and that we do everything we can to see that they have the best life possible.
When I was thinking about something to say to you as a close, I just want to offer you these words, and I think they're very appropriate, especially for an educator that's a counselor. When they need to speak, you listen. When they need to listen, you speak. When they need to question, you answer. And when they need to answer, you question. Knowing when is just a part that makes you a great counselor. Mr. Logue, thank you for joining us. Ms. Campbell, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Mariposa Elementary School. And we're looking forward to some great, great things. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Joining us this time from Southern Oaks Middle School is Miss Elizabeth Papis, who's the dynamic Teacher of the Year there. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Along with Mrs. Papis is the wonderful Lisa Sullivan, the dynamic principal at Southern Oaks Middle.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us. Now we're going to jump right in and have a wonderful conversation as we introduce you to our viewing audience. And to help us start that, would you please give me a little bit about your background? Please include the school that you attended, your major, and what you're currently teaching, grades, subjects at Southern Oaks.
Yes. I'm from Allegheny, New York, originally. I went to school in Buffalo, New York. My undergrad was at Buffalo State College, and I got my graduate degree at Canisius College in Buffalo as well. I moved to Florida, and I taught 6th and 7th grade science when I first moved here. After a year of that, I was very happy to move to language arts, which I love, and I currently teach 6th grade language arts.
6th grade language arts. So tell me, being a science teacher, being from New York, being a language arts teacher at this time, what's your favorite part of teaching?
The students, definitely. The students make teaching so interesting.
I'm sure in middle school they do.
they make it worthwhile, and that's why I get up every day, is to teach them. So if it weren't for the students, I don't know why I would be here.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
You know, I didn't always want to be a teacher. All throughout middle school and high school, I was pretty set on being a school psychologist or a school counselor, maybe a school social worker. Finally, just a month before I attended my undergrad, I decided, you know what, I can have the biggest impact if I'm in the classroom every single day with these students for an entire year. So that's why I changed my major the last minute, and I've never regretted it.
When you think about that decision that you made, do you think that there might have been a teacher or teachers along the way that inspired you to make that decision and become an educator?
Yes. Throughout middle school and high school, we had to do different mentorship programs and shadow professionals of a career we were interested in. So I had a wonderful mentor who was a school psychologist and who got me acclimated to a school climate and helping students one-on-one. It wasn't until my junior year in high school when I thought, hey, maybe I might want to be a teacher. I told my guidance counselor that, and he said, no, you do not want to be a teacher. Go be a businesswoman in New York City and make lots of money. So I sat on that for about a year and a half, and finally I came back to it, and I was like, I think I do want to be a teacher. So my guidance counselor kind of, in a roundabout way, helped me make that decision.
Ms. Sullivan, let's jump right in. Just in case there's someone that does not know the fantastic, wonderful, marvelous, dynamic, my good friend Lisa Sullivan, would you please kind of introduce yourself as well to our viewers and let us know a little bit about your educational background?
Yes, I am been at Southern Oaks Middle School as a principal for the past 8 years. I went to Florida Atlantic University, did my graduate work at Nova Southeastern, and love being at Southern Oaks. Ms. Papis, Liz, has been such a wonderful addition to our staff, and I pride myself at Southern Oaks of the wonderful school culture that we have. And it's always about student achievement, about what we can do for children, how we can make it better, what we can do for everybody. And Liz fits into that role so well, and I'm just so pleased at the contributions that she has made, and they're endless to Southern Oaks.
Ms. Sullivan, you get to see the magic and the work that goes on in Ms. Papis' class every day. Tell us, what is it that you see and hear when you visit her classroom?
I think that some words pop out when I go into Ms. Papis' class. I want to say she's inspiring. Never is she at a loss for words with children. She's never lost her temper with children. And her class is fun. The kids want to be in there all the time. Something you don't know about Ms. Papis and at Southern Oaks, we embraced an ELA literacy block, something actually Liz and I talked about over the summer one summer, and she piloted for us. Instead of having language arts and reading, she piloted this infusion model of having them together. And she's a model classroom. I bring teachers through there. We started in the 6th grade. We've brought 7th and 8th grade teachers in there, and nothing frazzles her. You can bring 20 people in there. Dr. Carrie, you've been in there yourself quite a few times. And it's just a organized chaos of fun and learning, and it's good stuff.
Organized chaos of fun and learning, purposeful.
Yes.
So I know in DQ5 of our Framework for Quality Instruction, it's all about engagement. So how do you purposefully plan engagement that's inviting for students and for learning?
Before I can plan for engagement, I have to know what will engage my students. So starting from day one, minute one, that the students walk into my classroom, I'm creating a relationship with them and seeing what interests them, what engages them, what will get them to learn and to pay attention. And once I develop that, I can deepen it, and then I can start planning. For instance, my students last year were really interested in topics that were going on you know, in society today, and they did a lot of research, group projects, presentations, plays on that topic. This year, I found my students are very competitive. So once I figured that out, I started creating games and activities and little contests that would motivate them, just small things to add to my instruction.
We also know that the students that you're teaching are very savvy when it comes to the use of technology. How do you plan to use technology in teaching and learning?
Absolutely. Number one, I use GIFs in my classroom. In my lessons and my PowerPoints, I put GIFs in there. The moving pictures, even for a second of laughter, it brings them back in. Secondly, we go to the computer lab once a week. We are on the curriculum. We are on programs like iReady. I have a classroom website. We are on Scholastic. So they, once a week in school, are in the computer lab working and getting used to the technology. I also give them the ability to access my website every day at home and contact me when they need to.
Ms. Sullivan mentioned that you piloted the infusion program that you're currently involved with at Southern Oaks. Is there something new and or exciting that you're working on this year?
Yes, every year is new and exciting because I try new things every year. Okay. With my literacy background, I came in with lots of theoretical knowledge. Starting this ELA block, 90 minutes, I was able to put all my book knowledge into practice. Mm-hmm. And every year I'm bringing in new ideas, new activities, new ways to teach the new content, and I'm excited about our new curriculum and our new standards.
Ms. Sullivan, we know that a person that's selected as the Teacher of the Year is heavily involved in the total operation of our schools. So what other activities will we see Ms. Papis involved in on campus?
She's involved in tons and tons of things at Southern Oaks. She started out as our intramural soccer coach, grassroots, and brought our team all the way to the semifinals her first year teaching. She participates in my SAC. She's at every after-school event. She does after-school tutorial. She works our Saturday school, not just with her own grade level either. She works with anything I ask her to do, any kind of small group, especially she's very strong in writing, so she sends some writing boot camps for us. We keep her away from math. She's our literacy person. She is going to FETC. She is, when I say technology, she's just brushing the surface. Any kind of gadget that she can get in the hands of those children that engages them, she has. We bought some Kindles one year, and I said, Liz, what can you do with this? And walking in there, seeing these kids with the Kindles was really exciting, because that year she had the very lowest readers that we had at Southern Oaks. And to see those kids actually reading and enjoying what they were reading was pretty spectacular.
So, Ms. Sullivan, describe Ms. Papis using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
Well, I think I already picked up 1 or 2 of those words. I want to say inspiring. And I want to say she's so dedicated and committed to not only Southern Oaks and her children, but to the staff and to our community. And I want to say that she's fun. She's fun. She's just a loving, lovely teacher that kids gravitate towards, as well as staff members.
Ms. Papis,
I could just hug her.
what impact do you see yourself having on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
My biggest impact on a student is on their emotional intelligence and being able to interact with other people, read a situation, and respond appropriately. I focus on the whole child so they are able to be successful anywhere they go, not just on a test. Further, we also focus on so much writing so they can be able to write academic essays when they get to college. Lastly, we read. We read everything. They read every night for 20 minutes or more. And the more books I can get in their hands, the more words, the more knowledge goes in their brains, the more successful they will be in college or their career.
She's so passionate about literacy, she just won the James Patterson grant for our school, which was a $2,500 donation from the James Patterson Foundation for books for our library.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we know that as the Teacher of the Year, you're often called to be the ambassador of the school, a spokesperson. What would you say to a parent to help that parent ensure that their child is successful?
I would tell the parent to stay involved with the child, with the teachers. Keeping an open line of communication with teachers will help that student be successful. Just like I said, staying involved, keeping tabs on the kid and keeping their relationship friendly and, you know, focusing on their schoolwork rather than anything else.
Furthermore, the Teacher of the Year is often asked to also share with colleagues. What advice would you give to a new teacher?
My advice would be to stick with it because the first year is absolutely the hardest year of teaching. And it would have been very easy to quit after my first year of teaching a subject that I was not comfortable with, grades that I was not comfortable with. I had taught pre-K before I taught 6th and 7th grade science. So stick with it. Power through, soak up as much information as you can.
Mrs. Sullivan, what makes Mrs. Papis the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor?
I don't want to keep saying her dedication, but I want to say her collegiality is such a shining point for her. She is so unassuming. People gravitate towards her. Her professional development that she leads, and she leads many, many of them, is always for the betterment of the teacher and the student. It's she's just committed to student achievement, finding new things, bringing them to the forefront. She does all this research on her own, says, I have this great idea. What do you think about this? She's just a collegial planning superstar. I mean, she's fabulous.
Mrs. Papis, a couple more questions. Our focus is going to shift just a little bit more personal than about the work that you do. First question here, why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I want to make an impact in as many children's lives as possible. And I truly believe and I truly feel that being a teacher does that.
Wanting to make an impact on as many students' lives as possible. So let me follow up by asking, when will you know that you are a success?
I don't think I'll ever know because I won't follow my students around until they're older. So I think just knowing that what I did was research-based and backed up by what I believe is right, that in itself will make me a success.
Mrs. Sullivan, your final question. Is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about the wonderful Mrs. Papis?
I can't say enough wonderful things about her. I am just thrilled that she was nominated for this honor. I can't think of a better candidate to win this prestigious honor for St. Lucie County. I can't think of a better person that embodies everything that we're talking about when we talk about what's best for children and implementing things with fidelity and going that extra mile and creating experiences for children and staff members that is innovative. It's just she's a wonderful, wonderful asset to Southern Oaks and to St. Lucie County.
Mrs. Papis, knowing everything that you know, including all of the experiences that you have, what you plan, what you do on a daily basis, the extra things that you also do, all in total, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that children and students need to experience education in order to truly learn.
So, finish this phrase for me. I believe
every student has a chance, and I'm going to give them that chance.
Well, Ms. Papis, it's been an honor having this opportunity to speak with you. And I want you to know that someone anonymously said that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's very evident that you exhibit that care for your students, bringing those fun, engaging, exciting lessons in. Mrs. Sullivan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Mrs. Papis, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for
Thank
Southern Oaks
you.
Middle School.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
And joining us at this time from Northport KA School, the fabulous Miss Renee M. Ordino, who is their Teacher of the Year. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Also with us from Northport KA School is the wonderful, fantastic principal, Mr. Glenn Rusday.
And thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you also. Miss M. Ordino, what we like to do at this time is first of all tell you congratulations on your selection, but also celebrate you by giving our viewers an opportunity to meet you and come to know more of the fantastic teaching professionals that we have here in St. Lucie Public Schools. So I'll ask that we begin by having you introduce yourself a little to our viewers, telling us a little bit about the school where you matriculated, as well as the subjects that you're teaching, the grades that you're teaching, areas of certification, that kind of educational bio.
Okay. Again, my name is Renee Ordino. I come from a long line of teachers and educators, and I'm very proud of that. I began my college career thinking I was going into nursing, and I started that, and didn't go too well for me. So I ventured into secondary mathematics education, and decided that may not be for me as well. So I finally ended up in elementary education. So I am elementary education K-6, and my primary background is in primary, first and second grades. I love first and second grade.
So you did not always know that you wanted to be a teacher?
No, I did not. My mother is a teacher, and I grew up watching her. She's going on, I believe, year 30, and I saw the work she put in, and I thought, whew, you know, that's too much. I can't do that. But here I am, and I love it.
So you saw the work that Mom did, then you finally followed your heart and your calling.
Very much so.
Is there an educator along the way that inspired you think, as you reflect?
What's kind of neat is I am actually a product of Northport Middle School back in the day.
Ah, yeah, because it's Northport K-8 now.
That's correct. And I had a phenomenal band director. I participated 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Mrs. Tamara DeFrucio. I looked up to her. She came from University of Florida. She was young, had all these great ideas, and she greatly inspired me.
So with that being said, did you graduate from school here in St. Lucie Public?
I absolutely did.
And which high school?
St. Lucie West Centennial High School.
St. Lucie West Centennial High School, where the Eagles fly.
That's correct.
Head to the rail, held to the red, silver, and blue.
And blue, that's
yes,
right.
Yes. We're celebrating again because we have had so many of the Teachers of the Year this year that are actually products of St. Lucie Public Schools. And we think it's really great when those persons come back to pay it forward for the next generation of students here. So thank you for pointing that out, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Rusty, please give us a little bit about your educational background.
Well, this is my 7th year at Northport, and before that I had 7 years at Port St. Lucie, and then I taught 10 years at Garden City.
All right, and when you visit Ms. M. Ordino's classroom, what is it that you see and hear?
When you walk into her classroom, the kids are engaged. You walk in, you see many different things depending on the time of the month or the year or season, if you will. On the left-hand side, you'll see her teacher station where she brings students up to work with them. It's very decorative. She has an elaborate setting there as well. You'll see the students are engaged. They're often talking to each other or in the middle of a project. You'll see her walking on water, so to speak, but she's just a really incredible teacher that really inspires her students to really push themselves and pushes her students, but the kids love being in her classroom and love her as their teacher.
Now, Ms. M. Ordino, Mr. Rusty used the word engaging about 3 or 4 times. In our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement, and we know master teachers purposefully plan engagement for students, for teaching and for learning. How do you go about doing so?
It's highly important, especially in the primary grades, because you can lose them very easily. Got to keep them moving, got to keep them motivated. I've participated in many, many, many Kagan structures and professional developments. I'm a big fan. I love kids getting up, moving, and like Mr. Reste referred to, talking. It's all about talking. The students have to be able to talk. It's not just me, it's them. And you learn more when you're hearing their conversations versus then just interviewing or pulling them one-on-one to work with. Making sure that there's diverse activities, there's lots of choices. We do quarterly research projects in our 1st and 2nd grade class, and they get guidelines for each specific type of activity, but there's always, you know, everything from a PowerPoint to a diorama scene to a biography pizza that they can create. There's all different kinds of choices, and that really does keep them motivated.
So, purposefully planning and using engagement, how do you also plan and use technology? Because we also know that these students in our classes are very technologically savvy.
Yes, they are. Lots of new computers for Christmas, I found out. So they can navigate the internet very well. And that's something that we've started doing, especially with my 2nd graders, is looking at what are the best ways to navigate the internet. Do we just pick the first thing we see, or do we continue on a little bit further? Absolutely, I'm really enjoying the new iReady program. Students are on that constantly in our classrooms. Incorporating PowerPoints, incorporating any types of engaging little snippets of videos to try to pique their interest. Anything that can really truly motivate them. We love taking pictures. We're really big on pictures and posting, you know, great things that we're doing. And we create I create a slideshow that the students get to see at the end of the quarter to see all the great things that they've done and products that they've had. We invite the parents to come in and to see that as well. And it's a kind of a big, you know, quarterly kind of celebration.
Is there something new and or exciting that you're purposefully working on this year?
I am. I'm so glad you asked. Oh. We've had a wonderful opportunity to start a gifted program for our elementary grades at Northport K-8. And I am in the 1st and 2nd grade gifted cluster. And starting fresh and new, I just recently earned my gifted endorsement. So I get to use it, and it's extremely exciting. A lot of hard work, but it's really rewarding.
Now, Mr. Reste, we know that at Northport K-8 school, to be the teacher of the year, you have to be heavily involved in just the total operation of the school. So what other activities would we find Ms. Ordino involved with?
Ms. Ordino has been involved in many different things over the years, from MTSS to team, again, working with her team, working with the professional development. She's Thinking Maps coordinator trained, or Thinking Maps trained excuse me, and as well as many of the other things, like she said, Kagan. She's constantly involved in the Kagan and leading the Kagan and doing a lot of the leadership, especially in the K2, but also throughout the school as well.
So please describe her for me using 3 adjectives and tell me why those 3.
Just 3.
Just 3.
Dedicated, caring, determined would be the 3 probably that would come to mind first. And dedicated, she just works extremely hard. And it goes hand in hand with determined as well, because she's determined to see her kids succeed. And she's so dedicated to make sure that she's going to find whatever way. If the kids are not successful, it's not the kids' fault. It's something that she's doing. Something that she didn't touch, or something, and she's so dedicated to finding, okay, what is that little thing I'm missing? What is that little piece I'm missing? What can I do to make sure the students, all the students in her classroom are successful? And then she's also very willing to share that information and willing to share her knowledge with her colleagues in the school as well. And that excitement and that willingness to dig deep, and again, coupled with the caring. Because you can also push 2 kids, and she's just so caring about the kids too, and she's so aware of where they are, aware of their whole child, if you will, and she's just really good at finding whatever it takes to make sure that the students are going to be successful.
Oftentimes when you're a primary teacher, you don't always see the end of the road, even though you know it's coming. How do you see that you're having an impact on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
Well, I take pride in the fact that I'm teaching these students how to read. It starts with me, and I'm very, very proud of that. I do keep in touch with a few of my students. I'm beginning my 10th year, so they are getting older and I'm getting older, and I'm very proud when I do see them, email them. I have a couple of them that I email, And it is very rewarding to see all the different things, how they've grown, and I was a part of that.
Being a teacher that provides that foundation, you're often called upon to have conversations with parents. You're often called upon to have conversations with community members. But specifically, what would you say to a parent to help them ensure that their child is successful?
Number one, I think, is to support them. No matter what endeavors, no matter their interests, is to support them and to make sure that they feel that they are cared for and that they are loved. And as hard as teachers try, we can't feel like we give each child the love that they need. So really getting that love from home is really important to them. Making sure that they are having meaningful conversations with their children and making sure that they're communicating. It's really important.
I heard Mr. Russ allude to the fact that you also provide trainings. So that means you're having conversations with colleagues, and sometimes those colleagues are new teachers. What advice would you give to a new teacher?
I would definitely say to be patient and to take your time. And as soon as you feel like you have a handle on something, something new will always come, and you have to be prepared for that continual growth that that you're going to get better and better and better. And each year there's a new challenge, and take it as a personal goal that you're going to overcome that challenge. And you can't take it all at one time. You have to take it, chunk it piece by piece.
So, Mr. Ruste, what makes Mrs. M. Ordino the perfect candidate for this honor?
Well, I think she just hit on it. She is just so looking for whatever it takes for her kids to be successful. And just her entire classroom, everything that she does is always student-centered and really focused on the student's success. And that is critical in the classroom. It's critical in a teacher. And she's just not willing to accept okay. She's not willing to accept good. She wants great. And she wants incredible students who are, very well-rounded, well-prepared for, in this case, second grade or third grade. But, and she just really is focused on the students and their success. And again, just a really good example of the great teachers we have here, both at Northport K-8 and in St. Lucie County.
We spent the first part talking about the work that you do, how that work is done, how it is accomplished. Change a little bit of focus to make it a little personal at this time, and saying, why are you a teacher?
I am a teacher because I myself am a lifetime learner, and I feel that that's such a gift that all people should have. And I want to be able to give that gift to especially young students and start them out on the correct path for their educational career. And I take pride in that, I teach them the original expectations of why we come to school, how we do things at school, what's the proper way, and why we're at school.
Knowing that you teach them the original expectations, knowing that you teach them to read so that they'll be able to read, to learn, and those kinds of foundational kinds of things. When will you know that you are a success?
That's a really tough question. I feel I will be a success when I know in my heart that every single one of my students are the best that they can actually be, and they are those level 3 and level 4 students that they're striving to be. And I can, positively say that I've done my best, they've done their best, and that's a challenge. I think that's a challenge.
Always a challenge.
Yes.
Each and every day a challenge. Mr. Ruste, my final question for you, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about the wonderful, the fantastic, the marvelous Miss Renee M. Ordino, the Teacher of the Year for Northport K-8 School?
She is a shining example, again, of the educators that we have in St. Lucie County, but then again at Northport. She is just really dedicated. She would be a phenomenal Teacher of the Year for the county, and then a great example, again, as we touched on earlier, that products of St. Lucie County Schools as well. And again, we have great students coming out and great things happening in Ms. M. Ordino's classroom at Northport and in St. Lucie County.
Knowing that you thought about, I think it was nursing first, and then math, and then followed your heart of hearts, knowing that you are a product of St. Lucie Public Schools as well, the time that you spend in the classroom, and all-encompassing education, including life experiences as well. Tell us, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that life is hard, and there are challenges that we have to make sure we put forth our best efforts even when times get tough. And I know for sure that things will change, and we have to be ready for that change and prepared for that change.
Final question. Finish this phrase for me. I believe
all children should be provided with a nurturing classroom environment that provides the best educational possibility for them because they deserve it.
Bob Talbot said these words, teaching kids to count is fine, but teaching them what counts is best. And we know as a primary teacher, you're doing that each and every day as you prepare them for life, for their future, laying those foundations and those expectations. Mr. Rusty, thank you for joining us for this show.
Thank you for having me.
Ms. Ordino, congratulations. Thank you as well for joining us, and congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Northport K-8 School.
Thank you.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave. Okay, but remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Joining us at this time from Windmill Point Elementary School is the wonderful Mr. Shan Glennan, who is the fantastic Teacher of the Year there. Welcome to our show.
Well, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Also with him is the fantastic, wonderful principal there, Miss Nicole Ortega. Welcome, Miss Ortega.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
This is our opportunity to introduce some of the finest teachers in America to the St. Lucie, to our viewers here in St. Lucie County. So, Mr. Carrie Glennan, what I'm going to ask you to do at this time is to give our viewers just a little bit about your educational background, where you studied, your major area, what you're certified in, and what you're currently teaching at this time.
Sure. Well, I did most of my education in Massachusetts, is where I grew up. I actually just moved down here for my senior year of high school, and I graduated from Fort Pierce Central.
Check this out. We're going to start right there, because that means you're part of the St. Lucie family, and we have had tons of Teachers of the Year this year that are actually products of St. Lucie Public Schools, so you're one of us. Congratulations. All right. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. Yeah, and so then after that, I went to IRCC, and I graduated from there in 1992. And then during that whole time I was working. I was a full-time employee at Albertsons. I was actually a grocery store manager, and I did it for years, but I also started at FAU, and I started my degree there. I was majoring in biology, and then I majored in history, and then I majored in education. And I actually graduated from Florida Atlantic University the same year that you became Dr. Perry.
Oh,
because I saw you get...
I was hooded.
Yeah, I saw you get hooded that year, so... And now this is my fourth year teaching.
Great, great. Well, this is a pleasure to have you sitting around this table. And like I said earlier, and I know I stopped you, but we've stopped everybody because, as I said, we've been filming, and we have so many persons that are actually products of St. Lucie Public Schools. And we think it's a great honor when those persons that graduated from here come back home to pay it forward for the next generation of scholars here. But with that, being a teacher, what's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is when I see the student get it. You know, after they've, had a little bit of a difficult time or, struggled with learning something, and then they finally just get it and it clicks and it's with them and I know it's going to be with them. That is the best part right there.
Now, Mr. Carrie Glennan, you talked about majoring in biology, majoring in history, and then getting it right by becoming an educator. What made you decide to be a teacher?
Well, I kind of felt like I was going to be a teacher right along. My grandparents on one side were both educators. My grandmother taught elementary school, and my grandfather taught calculus in high school and was a guidance counselor. And I just love teaching different things. Even when in my other career at Albertsons, I did training, I did district training, I did training around the country. And so it was training right along. And I coached my children's soccer teams and participated in volunteering at their schools. And it was just something that I really enjoyed seeing, especially seeing the other teachers at my children's school. Seeing them having, enjoying what they do really made me want to, finish up and become a teacher at that point.
So who inspired you to become a teacher?
Really, I mean, my grandparents were a good start. And then some of the teachers at River's Edge was where my children went to school, and I volunteered there. And Mrs. Barnes was a real big influence in me wanting to become a teacher. But really, my grandparents got me started on that path.
Ms. Ortega, let's jump in with you right now. Just in case there's some of our viewers that don't know the wonderful Nicole Ortega, please give us a little bit about your education background as well.
Okay. I grew up in Long Island, New York. I went to college at St. Joseph's College in New York, and then I moved to Florida to start becoming a teacher. I taught in Broward County for 5 years, and then I came to St. Lucie County and I taught. Became a literacy coach, a math coach, went back to school to become an administrator, attended NOVA, and then became an assistant principal at St. Lucie Elementary, and now I'm fortunate enough to be the principal at Windmill Point.
So what is it that you see and hear when you walk into Mr. Caraglan's classroom?
Well, it's pretty amazing because it's a technology classroom, and in the day of students self-teaching themselves technology, Mr. C doesn't leave anything up to chance. He makes sure children really know the intricacies of programs that are out there so that they don't miss anything that's really critical. You walk in, students are engaged in the lessons. They never know what's coming next. He always has something really exciting. I walked in the other day to a second grade classroom, and the second graders are learning how to code programs. That's not something that I would think that second graders were going to learn how to do, but they were excited. And by the time I walked out within 10 minutes, students were already starting to learn how to code a program. And they're excited, and they cannot wait to come back to his class.
So I was going to ask you, Mr. C, how do you infuse technology into your learning? But better yet, just tell me what, briefly tell me, what is it like in a technology-based classroom for learning?
Well, I mean, of course, everything involves technology, but I also involve the other subjects. I try and bring in the other subjects. I bring in the math. I bring in the writing. I actually coordinate it with our writing resource teacher, and they produce writing in their classroom. And then we bring it to our lab, and we put it into Microsoft Word. We edit it. We add pictures. We add borders, and make it nicer and bring out the second draft. Regular classroom teachers, if they ask me, I will do research projects with them. So we start doing different, if they're learning about the solar system in their classroom, I bring that solar system right into my computer lab and use the digital resources that are out there to really add on to what they may have already gotten in their classroom.
Our framework for quality instruction talks about the importance and use of engagement for learning and for instruction. How do you purposefully plan engagement in your lessons?
Well, it's really easy with computers because the kids are right there with it. I try and bring interesting things out there. Like Hour of Code was what Ms. Ortega was speaking of when I was doing the other day with second grade. It came right out with Minecraft. Minecraft is one of the favorite games of students, so it drew their attention right to it. So I knew I had them with that. Even just interesting video clips. I show them things that I have done, like we're learning about PowerPoint. So I've shown them some exciting PowerPoints that I have done in the past where it has animations, it has transitions, so they see the types of things that they could do. And so that's how I really try and get them on the hook. I say, hey, you could do this, and let's get started.
I'm excited to hear your answer to the very next question, Mr. C. Is there something new and or exciting that you're working on in your classroom this year?
Well, really, this year is coding. I'd never done coding with the classes before. Some of the other technology teachers that I've talked to said that they started trying to do it, and I think it's extremely important that we learn how to actually write programs. A lot of people can just go on and start clicking on icons and start opening up websites. But how do you make that next new game? How do you make that next app for a phone? that's where, and it really requires a lot of creative thinking, a lot of, problem solving. So it's just a great way to teach technology, but also to teach problem solving and creative thinking.
And pair it up with those other subjects where those kids are going to have to use those same kinds of skills.
Well, right. It requires, one of the programs that they're writing required angles. They had to know the 90-degree angle and, 60 and 30 to make their program. They had to know those types of angles. So we did practice their angles in that process.
Ms. Ortega, to be the Teacher of the Year, we know that those persons are always involved in just about everything that happens on campus. Mr. C is laughing over here. Tell us some of those things that Mr. C may be involved in that helps the school just operate daily.
Well, honestly, Mr. C has a hand in almost everything that happens at Windmill Point Elementary. He is a mentor to a new teacher who is also the first-year Teacher of the Year, which says a lot about his mentor. He takes on Odyssey of the Mind for our school. He also works with the check-in, check-out program with our students. He works with our choir and participates in all the PTO events. He comes to all our night events. And then he's just always around whenever a teacher needs a hand. So he's very hands-on in his classroom with his students, but also teachers benefit so much from the knowledge of Mr. C, because if he knows something, he shares it with teachers, and he's always right there to step in and lend a hand and teach something new to one of us.
Teaching technology to students in a world where they are already very technologically savvy, in a world that they will always have some kind of technology with them. How do you see yourself preparing them or helping them be career and or college ready?
Well, a lot of the students come in with some technology, knowledge, but it's like of games and of, like some of the apps on the phones. And some have come in with really no computer knowledge, but I provide a lot of the structure, a lot of work that would help them get a job, knowing how to use the different parts of Microsoft Office, knowing how to research. We do a lot of work with research and finding good information that would help them, find out information for papers in college, and know how to do even, bibliographies and cite all their works. Just really like the academic part of it, not just the fun part of technology, which it's fun, but the important parts of just being able to take that and use it to learn something like math or science or language arts.
As the Teacher of the Year, you are often the spokesperson for Windmill Point Elementary. What would you say to a parent to help that parent make sure that their child is successful?
Well, I mean, when they come to Windmill Point, it is really a family kind of school. We all work together to bring that student, along, to help them succeed where they all can. I work with everybody, and every teacher will work together to make sure that that student moves in the right direction and becomes as great as they can be.
I heard Ms. Ortega say that you are a mentor and you're mentoring the first-year Teacher of the Year. So you're the Teacher of the Year and your mentee is the first-year Teacher of the Year. What advice do you give to new teachers?
Well, Mr. Davis is our first-year Teacher of the Year, and he's a music teacher. So
he's already fantastic in my book.
So I've learned a lot from him. But really, I tell them it's like, you take something new every day. You learn a little something different every day about teaching. There's no end to learning. You're going to keep getting better. There'll be setbacks, but then you'll learn something from that setback even. So you just keep learning a little bit more every day. Reach out to, your other teachers. Reach out to the parents and ask, and see what they want out of education. Just, talk to as many people as you can and just keep trying to learn something new.
Mrs. Ortega, describe Mr. C using 3 adjectives and tell us why you chose those 3 and why they're so befitting.
The first thing that comes to mind is Mr. C is generous. He's generous with his time. He's generous with his knowledge. He is just, whatever he can do for others, he always steps up and does it. It doesn't matter if it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter if it's 5 o'clock at night and he had his bag on his shoulder to run out. He will always stop and help out with a smile on his face. Honestly, it's never a bother, and it's just, he's just always there, and generous is just the type of person. Very knowledgeable. Mr. C not only knows a lot about technology, but he also participates in lots of different professional developments. Like he just went to the STEAM&R, he's going to the technology conference next week. He's gotten on board with some focused lessons that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade are working on for Comp 3, and really infusing everything. He's just very knowledgeable about a lot of things and really puts it all into practice. And the last one would probably be humble. You know, you never see him bragging or telling everyone about all these wonderful things he's doing. It's just, it's such an amazing quality. It's just, everything's just, it's great.
Knowing your journey and through working and completing school, Mr. C, your background with your grandparents, why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I love to help that student make it along. I love to help that student get on their journey, helping them find something that they love to do and helping them get into that direction.
Mrs. Ortega, what makes Mr. C the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor?
Well, I think a lot of the things we mentioned before, but he's just a well-rounded teacher, but not just well-rounded, he's an effective teacher, a highly effective teacher. He's innovative, and everyone else around him benefits from him being at Windmill Point. We all become better from Mr. C being there. And students, staff, parents, everyone knows Mr. C. He's very approachable. We all benefit from him being there, and I just think that's the type of person that should be Teacher of the Year.
Mr. C, when will you know that you are a success?
Wow.
It's humble.
Yeah, I'm humble. Boy, I don't know if I'll ever truly know that I've, you know, been 100% a success. Probably when I see those students come back to me in 10 or 15 years and say, Mr. Glennan, I never really thought of a job in computers, or you helped me learn that math skill that, you know, it followed me through high school, it followed me into college, and now I have a great career because of it. Or even that a student that chooses a field, you know, like that may have not have gone to college, but choose a job like I was at the STEAM&R about FPL has programs for, you know, 2-year jobs for technicians. And like, I'm going to present that kind of information in my classroom and let them know the variety of jobs. And so if a student says, hey, I chose that career and now I'm happy and I'm, you know, have a great life because of it, I think that would help me know that I was a success when they come back.
Mrs. Ortega, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about Mr. Glennan?
Well, I'm just so thrilled that Mr. C went back, and this is his 2nd career, and decided to go back into education and did pursue it and didn't give up. And even though he had 1 major, 2 majors, he did go through it and pick teaching because honestly, it's a true honor to have him at Windmill Point.
Mr. C, we're going to wrap up with just a couple of more questions, okay?
Okay.
And for this next question, I want you to just think about life. Think about all that you know, all that you've experienced, what you know about education, what you know about the world of work, from your first career as this career, all encompassing. And tell us, what is it that you know for sure?
Well, I know for sure that change is always around. Change is there, and embracing change and adapting and rolling with the change and growing and learning from it. That is the biggest thing I have learned in life, that, you know, you try and prepare for change and enjoy it. You know, enjoy the change. Enjoy learning something new. Enjoy going down a new road that you didn't think you were going to head down before.
Finish this phrase for me as I wrap up. I believe that everyone can learn and can achieve their goals. I believe that they all can do it. I believe that, you know, everybody can have their own goal, and it's possible to get there. I'll leave these words with you, Mr. C. There is no more noble profession than teaching. A great teacher is an artist, but his medium is not canvas, but the human soul. Thank you for touching the human souls of all those students that you work with. Mrs. Ortega, thank you for joining us. And congratulations, Mr. Carrie, Glennan, on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Windmill Point Elementary School.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Hard, what's this? That's my resignation letter. You're resigning? Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit. I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me. Okay. But remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
It is a pleasure for us to welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show at this time the wonderful Miss Carrie Carr, who is the dynamic Teacher of the Year for Mosaic Digital Academy. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Joining her also is the wonderful Miss Jean Zimba, who is the fantastic principal at Mosaic. Welcome, Ms. Zimba.
Thank you very much.
It is a pleasure for us to have this opportunity to introduce the fantastic teaching field to our community here in St. Lucie County. So, Ms. Carr, I'm going to begin by asking if you would please introduce yourself to our viewers by telling us a little bit about your teaching career, the school that you're teaching at, the grades that you teach, subjects that you teach, and your field of study in the school that you matriculated.
Okay. I'm actually a transplant from New Jersey. 20 years ago, I moved from New Jersey down to Florida. In New Jersey, from Rutgers University, I got my Bachelor's of Science degree in Environmental Science, and a lot of that actually had to do with public health, practice and administration. I moved down to Florida because I really liked agriculture. I found during a summer job that I really wanted to learn more about that, and so I got my master's in horticulture in Florida. I've been teaching for about 5 to 6 years. I've been an adjunct professor with IRSC, and I still do that, but my primary focus is now Mosaic Digital Academy, and I've been here for 2 years.
What grades do you teach?
I teach 7th science, 8th science, marine science, and biology, so it's quite a potpourri.
Now, I'm going to jump in with Ms. Zimba right at this time, and Ms. Zimba, I'm going to ask that you do the same. Give us a little bit about your educational background and career.
Okay. I am a true Floridian. I was born here in Florida. I went to Florida Atlantic University, where I earned an elementary education degree, and from there I came to St. Lucie County and started teaching here. I also earned library science, a master's in library science at Nova Southeastern, all online, and then had an amazing librarianship career here in St. Lucie County for about 13 years. And then came to the district office to support the school district in instructional technology and enjoyed that very much. And then I earned my master's in ed leadership at American College of Education, and here I am.
Now, we're talking about the fantastic Miss Carrie Carr, who's the Teacher of the Year for Mosaic Digital Academy. Briefly tell our viewers about what the Mosaic Digital Academy is.
Well, Mosaic Digital Academy is one of the newest schools St. Lucie County has. But we actually have 3 virtual options here in St. Lucie County. Mosaic Digital Academy is really the most enriched virtual option I know of. We actually have our local St. Lucie County teachers here in St. Lucie County. We have about 150 students that are K through 12 in our virtual program. And while the students predominantly school from home, we do have 3 live days each week for the students to be able to come in and interact with the teachers. And that's why we are able to honor Mrs. Carr, because she's able to interact with our students in person as well as virtually. And so that's kind of one of the unique things about St. Lucie County. We have this enriched virtual model that allows our families to not only choose virtual, but choose to be really more entrenched in what St. Lucie County has to offer.
Okay, Ms. Carr, let's jump right in there then. So what's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is I enjoy very much playing with the students and having fun with them and teaching them science, and we're all smiling and having a good time. But I think my favorite part of teaching is that moment when the student realizes their potential, I know they have great potential, but the moment they realize that they have great potential, that's like a wow moment for me. I think all teachers really feel that, that when their students are turned on, they get excited.
When did you decide that you wanted to be a teacher?
Well, your career is part opportunity and part path, right? That you choose. And as an undergraduate, I did think of teaching. I even took teaching classes during my bachelor's. But, the path kind of turns a little bit. And then I just really got the opportunity to adjunct at IRSC, and it was a perfect fit at that time. And that was the transition I had into teaching. And then transitioning into virtual, I really like that parents can have control over their students' environment in the virtual setting. And I really wanted to support that. I wanted the parents, they choose virtual for a lot of reasons, but I wanted to support those that wanted to be more involved in terms of what their students are exposed to.
Knowing that you made that transition into the public school system each and every day, do you think that there might have been a teacher along the way that inspired you?
I'd have thought about that. In middle school, I had a history teacher that really was good at making us have analogies to things in history, and I never forgot that. So I remember things from teachers that were great. There's not a particular person that I can say, wow, that person, made me choose this, but I always remembered what made a good teacher, and just kind of kept track of that.
Now, in the digital world, it's a little different, even though you get to see those students when they come in, but also provide that digital expectations. DQ5, for our quality framework for quality instruction, is all about engagement. How do you make a lesson engaging for those students, knowing that some of that can be accessed in the digital manner, but they may come for face-to-face and brick and mortar as well? Yeah. How do you plan engagement for students?
For science, I try to bring them into the school once a month, and we have a lab day, and so anything that we've been learning or will be learning shortly, I have activities, hands-on activities. Okay. Some of the assignments in our curriculum are labs, and so I can do the prep, and we can all do the lab together, and so the students really enjoy getting the knowledge and also the opportunity to touch some of the things they're reading about. It's really great. We also have weekly online lessons where I'll go in and talk about what we'll be learning that week. And I try to involve the students by asking them questions, check for understanding, like, are you guys, give me a green check if you're following along. I'll teach for recall. That's a major strategy that I use, and the students really enjoy that. So I teach them not only the information, but how to recall it and remember it when they need it. And so they stay very good in attention because of that. They see what I'm doing, and they enjoy that. And then just being in the spirit of play, sometimes 5 minutes before a class, we'll do a hangman, we'll do a little tic-tac-toe, little game, just to sort of
activate.
Yeah.
Knowing that, again, that you're in the digital world, how is technology used for instruction?
Yeah, we're very different from brick and mortar in that way. Our classes are essentially web conferencing. Our students are really trained to work online and with computer software. We meet online in the classroom. They submit assignments in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or whatever programs, similar programs to that. We train students to have the skills of the 21st century, so they really will leave our school not only ready for a business world in that type of environment, but even just further college virtually, they'll already have that skill on accessing their classes and understanding how to submit and rubrics and the kind of jargon that goes along with virtual learning.
Ms. Zimba, when you visit the students in Ms. Carr's class, when they come to the brick and mortar section, or when you observe her interacting in the digital world, what is it that you hear and see?
I see scientists. I see children that are excited about learning about their world and exploring about their world, to ask questions and to find answers. They're excited about what they're doing. They want to interact with their peers as well and talk about the things that they're learning and they're exploring. We just had an amazing science fair event, but prior to the science fair event, everything that went into getting to that point, this was not something where students actually worked on their own at home. They actually came into our facility and worked with their peers on their projects. So when they went to present their projects, it was a collaborative project that they were sharing. And one of the greatest experiences that I had just attending the event, the science fair event, was having the children talk about what they would do next time. They were so excited about learning about science that they were not just thinking that that was a singular event, that this was something that they were always going to do.
Ms. Carr, is there something new or exciting that you're working on this year?
Well, science fair, that's what I concentrated on very much. We had a theme. We looked at water pollution because we live on the Treasure Coast, and with the Indian River and the St. Lucie River and the ocean, you know, we looked at pollution, different types of pollution in that. And so it was really wonderful. My favorite part was when the older students were explaining their projects to the younger students, and then the younger students explained their projects to the older students, because they learned 20 different things that they already had some understanding about. And so that was fantastic. I think that's going to be a really great opportunity for me to have some fun with the students and stretch them in different ways that go a little bit beyond the curriculum.
As the Teacher of the Year, you often have to speak to community groups, to organizations, to parents. Specifically, what would you say to a parent to help them ensure that their child is successful?
I think, because as a parent myself of 2 students in St. Lucie County, I think that planning and prioritizing are the most important things that people can do. You have to have your priorities. You have to know when you're being stretched too far, too thin. As a parent, you know, if I see my kids slipping in a subject, I step up and I help them. But I think overall, the planning and prioritizing time management skills, those are essential for any part of life. And so I would definitely encourage people to take a moment and think about that.
Mrs. Zimba, please describe Ms. Carr using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
Okay, caring. She cares about everything she does with her students, with her lessons, with her peers, instructional peers. Innovative, for sure. Collaborative. She is collaborative not just within our school community, but within our school district and within the state. She just goes beyond any walls, any barriers, which is really unique for our virtual world.
Mrs. Carr, what impact do you see yourself having on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
Well, one thing I really try to tap into is where that student is and showing them how they can grow. Today I spent a good portion of an orientation talking about 42 different strategies that they could use to learn new information. I mean, to have that outlined, you know, if this doesn't work, try this. That was a really good thing. I like to prepare them, having the perspective of college and teaching college. I like to prepare them with the skills that they'll need to do well in college. So we talked about taking their own notes and studying and flashcards and all of the different types of techniques that they can use. So I would really like to see the students that leave our college, our school, ready for college. And a lot of them are dual enrolled as well.
Ms. Zimba, so what makes Mrs. Carr the perfect candidate for this honor?
Well, being the very first Teacher of the Year for our virtual program, this is our 4th year open for Mosaic Digital Academy. It was really unique for us to finally get to have this opportunity to be able to name one of our own Teacher of the Year. And what makes Mrs. Carr the Teacher of the Year in everyone's eyes is really just the fact that she just really innovates. She really thinks about teaching and learning in the online world as well as in the offline. She really kind of goes further than I would have ever dreamed that our teachers would be able to go, and it helps other teachers in our school to think about more possibilities, more innovation.
Mrs. Carr, why are you a teacher?
I think it's part natural, tendency. I do like, even when I wasn't a teacher, I was teaching people stuff. I think that learning and teaching and sharing is one of the fundamental things that we can do as human beings. It's free to exchange ideas and share what you know. I love that. And I think that it's very purposeful. I'm serving my fellow people, and that fulfills me. It gives me a really good purpose.
When will you know that you are a success?
Well, success, they can say, is like a journey, right? But I will finally be 100% success when all of my kids complete on time and with A's. So I'll keep going until that happens.
Ms. Zimba, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about the wonderful Ms. Carrie Carr, your Teacher of the Year for Mosaic Digital Academy?
Well, Mrs. Carr is really truly an innovator. She really is doing, the work that causes others to really want to do better. Makes the students want to learn. She makes the students want to love science because she's got so much enthusiasm. And that enthusiasm is absolutely contagious. Our students really seem to enjoy her, and they are really just very pleased that their teacher is the Teacher of the Year.
Mrs. Carr, when you think about your total career and everything that you know and everything that you've experienced, what is it that you know for sure?
What I know for sure is that people respond to a place of love and a place of caring. And what I know is that when my students feel worry or anxiety, they shut down. And so I focus on removing that first before anything else.
Finish this phrase for me as we wrap up. I believe.
I believe in God, and I believe that I serve people with that love.
I'll leave you with these words from Oliver Wendell Holmes when he said, "Man's mind, once stretched by new idea, never regains its original dimension." Thank you for all that you're doing, working in a world that naturally stretches a student's minds so that they're better prepared for whatever it is that they choose to do later in life. Ms. Zimba, thank you for joining us. Ms. Carr, congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year for Mosaic Digital Academy, and we're looking forward to some great things from that site and from you as well. Thank you again, and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
At this time, we'd like to welcome the very dynamic Dr. Lucie Page to our Teacher of the Year celebration show, and she is the fantastic Teacher of the Year for the Performance-Based Preparatory Academy. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Joining her is our Executive Director for those programs is Ms. Sunny Booker. Ms. Booker.
Hi, Dr. Perry.
Great to have you.
Good to see you.
Now, Dr. Page, we're going to jump right in.
Okay.
And I want you to introduce yourself to our viewing audience just in case there's somebody that does not know the very dynamic Dr. Page. Please make sure that you tell us the school that you matriculated, your program of study, and what your certifications are as well.
Okay.
Also tell us what you're doing at Performance Base.
Okay, certainly. Hello, I am Dr. Page, and I went to the University of South Florida and University of South Florida in Tampa, where I received my bachelor's degree in mathematics. I also received a master's in mathematics at Nova Southeastern University, and I continued my doctoral studies at Nova Southeastern University as well. Currently, I'm the program specialist at Performance-Based Preparatory Academy, and there, one of my main responsibilities is ensuring that students have a wonderful intake process when they first come to Performance-Based Preparatory Academy.
So as the program specialist, when students come to Performance-Based, they go through some kind of orientation, develop skills. Are you responsible for those kinds of activities?
Yes, I am. I am responsible for the intake process, which is an introduction to Performance-Based, and it basically goes over the program layout, what the expectations are for the students once they enter Performance-Based as a student there.
So I will ask my questions, but our viewing audience would love to hear you answer those questions in the role as a program specialist.
Okay, certainly.
So what's your favorite part of teaching and or being a program specialist?
Okay. One of my favorite parts of teaching and being the program specialist at the same time is that I get the opportunity to go into the classrooms as the students are doing their lessons. And one of the classes that I enjoy going in, of course, is the math classroom.
I'm sure.
Because I'm able to also share my skill set with the students that are there, and they're surprised when they say, well, Miss Page, you can help me with slope-intercept form? I say, certainly I can. And I sit there and I help the students and guide them, and they know that they have someone else that they can always come to if they have a math question, and that's one of the parts that I do love. And then also being a program specialist, I'm able to go into all of the classrooms, work with majority of the students that is at Performance-Based at all three of our sites, which we have a daytime site. We also have an extended day site also in the afternoon on the main campus, and then we have a morning-side site as well, which is down in Port St. Lucie. So I have the opportunity to work with not only just the staff, but the students and also the parents as well.
So Performance-Based Preparatory Academy uses a lot of technology for instruction. How is that applicable to your role?
Okay. One of the platforms that we use is called Edgenuity, which is E2020. This is where all of the curriculum is stored for our students to be able to use. The students use this platform, and I'm able to actually see the students as they are working in their particular content area. And then I can kind of look and say, well, if the student is not really focusing in on a certain content, I can go in and look, and I can actually use that technology piece to go in and help assist a student or help assist a teacher to say, well, maybe here are some additional curriculum items that you can use to help pull the student score up, or help make sure that the student does understand the concept. So I'm able to use the technology in that way. And also doing the professional development with teachers, also I'm able to use technology when I am presenting a professional learning opportunity for teachers.
Great, great. DQ5 of the St. Lucie's Framework for Quality Instruction is all about engagement. How does a program specialist help engage others for the betterment of teaching and learning?
Okay. One of the main roles, once a student enters into Performance-Based and they go through the actual orientation, one of my job duties is to ensure that at that orientation I am engaged with the parent, I am engaged with the student, so that they know that this is a program that they want to be a part of. And that engagement is really trying to let them know that once the student enters into our doors here at Performance-Based, that they're going to be taken care of, that our teachers care about our students, that everyone there, all the way down from the maintenance staff, all the way up to the office staff, really care about the students to ensure that their engagement in our program is there for them, that they are successful. And the student engagement piece, one of the things that I like to do is always find out from a student through real world applications how I can bring into the classroom when I'm working with the student engagement on that level as well.
At this time, I have to jump in. We got kind of carried away, Ms. Booker. Please introduce yourself to our viewing audience, just in case there was someone that does not know, and about your educational journey, briefly about how you became the director of Alt Ed.
All right. Well, As the Director of Alternative Ed, I supervise the non-traditional and alternative programs that we have here in the county. I came from being the Director of School Renewal, which is school turnaround. So this is very similar background that I've had for a while. And supervising performance-based, which is non-traditional school, has afforded me the opportunity to get to know Dr. Page.
Tell me then, when you watch Dr. Page working with staff and our students, what is it that you see and or hear?
One thing that I do notice about Dr. Page, she's very thorough. She's very thorough both in the data collection, which is so important for our non-traditional students, as well as getting to know the situation that put the student there in the first place. One of the tasks that are required in leadership teams at a non-traditional or alternative school is being able to find the gems and the treasures, so to speak, in our kids that maybe weren't discovered before. And so when she was discussing the engagement piece of the real world application, that's getting to know, why are you still here? Because a lot of these kids would have given up. But for some reason,
what is it that propels you?
They're still coming
to go
against the odds.
Yes.
And so I think one of the things that I see Dr. Page doing is trying to find that and hook into that, so that when maybe some of their poor habits start surfacing again, she can remind them of that and she can pull that back in.
Dr. Page,
Yes,
have
sir.
you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
No, I did not always want to be a teacher. I was going to be an accountant at first. But when I went to the University of South Florida, I have an aunt that lives there, and she asked me, well, why don't you come and sub my class one day? I was a substitute teacher. And I said, sure, certainly. So I went in and I subbed her class, and then I started subbing all over the district in Hillsborough County. And then that's when I found that I really loved teaching students. And when a student said to me, as a sub, will you come back and be our teacher? And that moment right there was like, oh, maybe I can do this as an occupation. And then that's what made me decide to become a teacher.
After having that turnaround experience,
yes.
Did you ever reflect back and think back that maybe there were some teachers in your life that inspired you to be a teacher?
Yes, I can think of three.
Okay.
One, of course, my aunt. She was a special education teacher in Tampa. Another one was Miss Teresa Gaines, who is a math teacher who inspired and believed in me that I could do higher level mathematics. And my third person is my former band director, Dr. Perry.
So we have to go back and let our viewing audience know you are a graduate of
Fort Pierce Westwood High School.
And once a Panther?
Always a Panther.
And that, you know, we have celebrated so many people on this Teacher of the Year celebration show because many of the persons that have come and sat at this table with me are all graduates of the St. Lucie Public Schools. So we are really excited when our own come back and pay it forward for the next generation. Congratulations. That is really, really so good to know. As a program specialist, is there something new or exciting that you're involved with this year?
Yes, currently this year, and we're getting ready with the help of Mrs. Booker, is to go into some of the other schools to capture the students that really need to be a part of Performance-Based Preparatory Academy. As part of Mr. Gent's direction is to make sure that student graduation rates are starting to turn around, and that performance-based will be one of the places that students will be able to have that opportunity.
Great, great. As a Teacher of the Year, Ms. Booker, they're often involved in many activities, not just their little niche of being the program specialist or being the math teacher. What other things do you see Dr. Page involved with?
Well, that's interesting. Due to her principal taking a little time and Ms. Richardson taking a little time away, I had a leadership meeting the other day with the team to see what they needed help with. And I asked, so who's pulling together what we need for Martin Luther King Parade?
Dr. Page.
Dr. Page. Who's getting ready for the senior pinning activity that we're doing? Dr. Page. The list was, you know, pretty long, and everybody, you know, where the list was, Dr. Page. So she's doing a lot to manage student activities. She's doing a lot to manage supporting faculty and professional development. She's doing a lot to manage the students, the parents, the outreach, the celebrations, all the things that you think of. And although performance-based is a small school, they really do try to bring in a lot of the activities that a comprehensive school would do. And because of that, it really does rest a lot on Dr. Page.
Yes, yes. Those are characteristics of what we see in the Teacher of the Year. They have their hand, they're involved in many of the things that help our schools naturally function. Ms. Booker, please describe Dr. Page using 3 adjectives and tell me why you chose those 3.
Positive. This isn't an attitude, it's a can-do.
Okay,
Can-do.
I'll take a phrase.
And enthusiastic.
Okay, okay. Positive, can-do, and enthusiastic. And I'm sure that's evident in the work that she does on a daily basis, regularly, each and every day at Performance Base. As a program specialist, you have many opportunities to speak to parents and students. Yes. What would you say to a parent to help ensure that that child is successful at Performance Base?
One is to always know the status of your child, always. For as their grades, for as what classes they're attending, and always find an opportunity to support their child in their education and in their learning. And also to always encourage their child to never give up, to always find an avenue where they will be successful.
In addition to that, you often have an opportunity to speak with new teachers. What would your advice be to them?
My advice to a new teacher would be to never ever take anything that a student does negatively personal. Always remember that students have to have an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to excel, and the next day is always a new day, and always treat that student that this is a new day and a new opportunity. Never always think of the past if it was something negative.
What impact do you see yourself having on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
Well, I have the wonderful opportunity of also working for Indian River State College, and I work in the math department there as an adjunct faculty member, and I have the opportunity to be able to see what are the expectations at the college so that I am able to tell students on the secondary level what are some of the expectations and what they need to be ready for and prepared for doing their high school studies. So that is one of the things that I'm blessed to be able to do both, to see both worlds, so I'm able to share that with students.
Ms. Booker, what makes Dr. Page the perfect Teacher of the Year candidate?
That she's able to find the heart of being an educator in any role. So some people can only do that in a very traditional sense, but she's in a non-traditional setting, and still bringing that passion of teaching and being an educator to that site.
So, Dr. Page, we've spoken a lot about what it is that you do, but we're going to flip our focus just a little bit and talk a little personally more about who you are and you. Okay. My first question is, why are you a teacher?
I am a teacher because I have the opportunity to open many doors for students by students partaking in on the knowledge that I'm able to give them, whether it's educational knowledge or whether it's how to interact in the social society or even sometime spiritually as well.
When will you know that you are a success?
I know that I'm a success when I go out in the world and I see a student, if I'm at Publix or at or even on a college class, and I see a student and they are actually working on their bachelor's at that particular time, and they come back and they say, well, thank you, Ms. Page, for always instilling in me or pushing me to go forward with my education and never give up. That's when I know that something that I did as a teacher really impacts someone else.
Mrs. Booker, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about your wonderful Teacher of the Year, Dr. Page?
Just that as a very esteemed math mind, there's lots of options that this young lady could do. There's many things with an advanced math degree, many roles that she could do, and it's a very selfless act what she's doing. Being a teacher in our hometown, giving back to the students that she does, and we're just really lucky and proud to have her here in St. Lucie Schools.
Dr. Page,
Yes.
when you think about all of your experiences from being a student here at wonderful Westwood High School, for being a graduate of the University of South Florida over in Tampa, from subbing, changing your mind from being an accountant to being an educator, and the work that you've done in the traditional comprehensive classroom, as well as our non-traditional kinds of alt-ed classrooms. When you look at all of that, knowing what you know and experiencing what you have experienced, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that I did make a difference in the lives of the students that came into my classroom. I know I made a difference, and that's what's important to me.
Final question, and it's really, finish this phrase for me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
I believe that as I continue my educational journey, working and dealing with students and parents and other teachers and other educators, that as we continue, I believe that everyone, if they just take a little bitty small piece of what's given to them, that they will be successful and that they will turn it around and they will graduate.
I want to leave you with the words, Dr. Page, of Nikos Kazantzakis when he said this: true teachers are those who use themselves as bridges over which they invite their students to cross. Then, having facilitated their crossing, joyfully collapse, encouraging them to create their own bridge. I am sure it is evident from my conversation with you that the work that you do as a teacher and as a program specialist, you're creating those bridges for students to get from one level to the next and backing out of the way, and they're having them pay it forward to others, just like you're doing here in St. Lucie County. Ms. Booker, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Dr. Page, thank you for joining us as well, and congratulations on your selection as a Teacher of the Year for Performance-Based Preparatory Academy.
Thank you.
To our viewing audience, you have had the opportunity to meet the wonderful teachers that have been selected as the Teacher of the Year for their specific sites here in the wonderful St. Lucie Public Schools. And to all of them, I like to leave them with these words, reminding them that they have chosen the most challenging and the most rewarding profession there is or ever will be. Imagine the light in the eyes of a newly motivated student, the smile on the face when a seemingly unfathomable concept is finally grasped. So to all of them, I say on behalf of our wonderful superintendent, Mr. Ewayne Gent, and our school board, and all of the patrons of our city, thank you for being such wonderful teachers, exemplary role models, and caring people. Thank you for knowing your subjects and sharing your knowledge so freely. Thank you for not being afraid to treat our students like real people. Thank you for showing acceptance, approval, and appreciation. For every day, you make a difference, and every day, you do that something that truly matters. Every day, you leave an undeniable mark on the future, and for that, we say thank you, and we congratulate each and every one of you.